bitch. Oh, excuse you? Baloney wash. I'm annoyed. I'm just here to give my opinion and carry Annie. Oh, it's Chris Avalon Unfiltered, bitch. Well, hello, everybody. Welcome and happy Tuesday. It's your boy, Chris Avalon, and welcome to a brand new episode of Chris Avalon Unfiltered, a show where we basically get into all things going on in celebrity news, hot topics, pop culture, whatever is trending on this good old internet. Excuse me. We talk about it on this good old show. So, before we get to some of our hot topics, which I'll let you guys know what they are in a second, if you please can do me a solid, hit that like button and that subscribe button. Also, be sure to smash that notification button so that way you know when we go live with a brand new episode of Chris Avalon Unfiltered. Before we get started with the show, I do want to apologize. I know I am on CPT. I know I'm a little late. And that was because I was putting the show together and like literally 10 minutes before I was supposed to go live, I had to take my dog to the bathroom. And then I realized I was hungry because all I ate was cereal this morning. You already know when it comes to cereal only lasts in your stomach for like maybe 10 minutes before you really hungry again. So I had to make me a quick sandwich and I had to eat that because I was like, you know, when it comes to us doing these long-winded shows, because I'll be feeding y'all with all the topics. We probably got a good 15, 16 topics. Yeah, today's episode is probably going to be pretty long. So we got a lot of topics. So I knew like, okay, if I'm going to be feeding y'all with the day, I need to eat something. So I did not want to be up in here like hangry because that happened one time and I played it cool throughout the show. Like literally I felt like I was going to pass out. My stomach was going, like literally my stomach was windmilling me. And it was like, bitch, I need something in this system. So I remember like so that was a situation that happened one time, so I don't want to go through that again, so I was like, let me eat something. So the topics that we have coming up, we got to talk Blade news just came out literally before I went live with the show, which is another reason why I was a little late because I had to put that story together. So we got some bad news in regards to Blade, and then we got to talk about Liam Payne. The toxicology report came out yesterday. I think it was probably during when we were doing the show because right afterwards, when I got back from my meeting, I saw that the toxicology report was released, and I was like, okay, I need to work on that. So we have that. Plus, they're saying that some staff members may have had something to do with Liam Payne getting them drugs. So we got to talk about that. Plus, Abercrombie, look, Diddy ain't gonna be the only one out here that's getting caught up in trafficking and all kinds of other stuff. So apparently, the former Abercrombie and Fitch CEO, Mike Jeffries, was arrested this morning and charged with 16 counts. And this is all going down in New York. The New York legal system, they are not playing with these people out here. So we got to talk about him. Plus, speaking of Diddy, we do need to talk about Diddy because 50 Cent is defending being vocal about Diddy's abuse allegations. And then we got somebody else. So while he going in and raking Diddy over the coals, you got DJ Envy dumb behind over there at the Breakfast Club defending Diddy. But he didn't do it over there on the Breakfast Club. He did it on his wife's podcast. So we have the clip, and we're going to talk about it and break it on down and all that good stuff. Plus, we got to talk about Rosie O'Donnell. Some of the clips, some of the topics that we were going to talk about yesterday have spilled over into today's episode, such as Rosie O'Donnell. We got to talk about, you know, her reacting to her daughter being arrested for child neglect because her daughter apparently is a crackhead. So we got to talk about that, and hopefully Donald Trump don't get wind of it because, you know, he going to run this to the ground. But then again, Donald, you better tread lightly because, you know, them allegations about you and your son, Don Jr., I would tread lightly on the drug commentary. But they ain't stopped him before. So we got to talk about that. Plus, Rosie O'Donnell also went to go see Sunset Boulevard and had no idea who Nicole Scherzinger is. So we have that, and we have the clip of her over on the TikTok. Oh my God, I just realized I didn't open up the TikTok video. So I'm probably going to do that during the show. So we have that. Plus Ariana Grande, you know, being dragged for snubbing Elvira, of all people, the mistress of the dark, the queen of Halloween. Like, how dare you, Miss Thing? So we're going to talk about that. Plus, we got to talk about Ryan Murphy, talking about he's going to make more Monsters episodes if the Menendez brothers are freed. Then we also got to talk about Cooper Koch with, you know, the gay voice thing, which we were going to talk about yesterday. We got some Shakira news, a lot of Shakira news, quite frankly. And then we got to talk about Danny Ramirez breaking his silence over that gay movie he was supposed to do with Joaquin Phoenix. So he's talking about that. Plus, Al Pacino is opening up for the first time about the cruising controversy because he has a book that came out, a memoir. So he's opening up about that film. So I'm really interested in diving into that conversation. And plus, we're going to talk about Drag Race heading over to South Africa. And I have questions because I know there is a lot of controversy that's going to be surrounding, excuse me. I know there's going to probably be a lot of controversy regarding that, especially because I'm sure that South Africa is more of a liberal, is more liberal in regards of, I guess people could be LGBTQIA plus and all that other good stuff. I'm not really familiar, but I think that they, based off of what I'm learned, I believe that they are more of a liberal type of place that you could live. However, I do wonder, that if it comes down to a situation, will people from other places want to try out? So that's got my interest in a lot of ways. So I'm definitely interested in taking on that conversation. Okay, so I got it. Because while I was talking, I was stalling. I be like telling y'all the tea. I was busy stalling, trying to pull up that Rosie O'Donnell clip. But now that I have it, we could dive right into the show. I have to pull up my banner, please. Oh, not that one, Chair. That's about rape and things. That banner. I see we have comments. The meeting was interesting. It was, it was a lot of stuff. And then, some of it had to do with the Trump thing, but whatever. So Elon has been, oh yeah, I heard about that. I was gonna bring that on to the Today Show, but it was so action, we're so packed with topics. I'll probably save that story for tomorrow. I also hope that the guy from, what is it, Alex Proyas, who did iRobot, I hope he goes after Elon too. Because they said that the robots are similar to the robots from iRobot. So look, Elon Musk ain't no damn, he's not an innovator. Like, he's basically someone, he's a walking colonizer. Like, that's why we call him Apartheid Clyde over here. Like, you're a colonizer. You take people's ideas, you steal them, and then you pass them off as your own. So why are we not surprised that he's going after, the people that created Blade Runner will be going after him? Like, there's nothing innovative about that man at all. But anyway, let's get into our first topic. Which is this Blade tea that just came. Oh, I just realized my my other YouTube video was open, so I was going to get feedback off of myself. Okay, so now we're good. So, because I always sometimes forget to close other windows. Okay, so now the latest news. This news came out actually today. So we got some bad news for those of you who are looking for this Blade movie. You might have to wait a little bit longer because it's officially been pulled off of its Disney schedule. Now, I was looking on all the trades when I saw some of the smaller trades reporting it, but then I saw that Variety and Deadline and them was reporting. I said, okay, now it's legit. Like, I don't want no shade to a lot of the smaller, mom and pop blogs that post these stories, but it's far more credible when we get it from a Variety or a Deadline. So could this be the final stake in the heart for Blade? Because word on the street is that Disney has quietly pulled the film off its schedule and will instead release Predator Badlands. Now, Blade was previously scheduled for a November 7th, 2025 release date, which I knew that was going to happen because November 7th is a year from next month. And we haven't heard a new director coming on board. Haven't heard anybody working on this or doing a new draft of the script. I mean, maybe there have been people, but there's been so many people. There's been such a revolving door of screenwriters. It's been hard for me to keep track of who's actually working on the script, a new draft for this Blade movie. And we haven't heard a new director come on since Jan de Bont dropped out. And he was the last one to kind of drop off out of the running because MCU didn't like what he was coming up with. So they decided, okay, so now we still haven't heard anything. So now they've given it to, like I said, Predator Badlands, which is this movie that's coming out. I believe it's a spiritual follow-up to Prey, which was directed by Dan Trachtenberg. Now, Dan Trachtenberg directed Prey, and he's directing Predator Badlands, which is set to star Elle Fanning, Dakota's sister. So that's what we basically know so far. So they basically said for Marvel boss Kevin Feige, well, they said, well, that's what I was saying. So they said for Marvel boss Kevin Feige, it's important to make the best Blade movie ever. The studio won't make the move until they've cracked a great script. This is basically according to Variety, what they had said in their article. Now, in the meantime, Snipes had a cameo in Blade in the highest grossing R-rated movie of all time, Marvel Studios' Deadpool and Wolverine. So the movie has grossed 1.3 billion as of now. It has surpassed Barbie as the biggest grossing film of, I think, of all time, and like R-rated. And I know fans were basically saying that they would actually, after seeing Blade appear in Deadpool and Wolverine, that they would like to see an old man Blade movie. Like, we feel like he needs a proper send-off because Blade Trinity was a hot-ass mess. So the fans, including myself, we were all saying, like, you know what? Maybe in the meantime, while y'all figure out what the hell to do with this new Blade franchise, that maybe you need to cast Wesley Snipes in a separate film, kind of like what you did with Logan. Like, literally give him his last ride, a proper send-off, and then we can kind of forgive what was Blade Trinity, because Blade Trinity was not a good film. I love what Dave Goyer brought to the lore of Blade. I love the first two Blade movies, and Dave Goyer did a phenomenal job with the script. I just don't understand what happened with Blade Trinity, and I believe that Dave Goyer wasn't even the choice to direct that film. I think they wanted Guillermo del Toro to come back. I guess he had other things on his mind, and he didn't want to direct a third film. But I loved what he did with Blade 2. I mean, the vampires that he had were similar to the Stegoi that was in the vampire series that he worked on Fox. Oh my God, I totally forgot the name of that show. And I read the damn books too that he wrote. So I think that was based off of the vampires that, excuse me, The Strain. Now it came to me. So when he worked on The Strain and everything, I remember the vampires were similar to the vampires in Blade 2, but Blade 2, of course, came before The Strain. And I actually liked The Strain the first season and a half. Then it started to kind of go off the rails for me. I just couldn't stick with it. I mean, I watched it all the way through, but I just didn't like the direction they were going with the series. But I did love the book when I read it. I think it came out with other books too, but I only read The Strain, the actual first book. I didn't read all the other series of books that he came out with in that universe. And it was a thick book too. It was very it was like a Stephen King sized book, like a lot of pages. But I thoroughly enjoyed the book. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. I'm have to say I'm kind of disappointed. I really was looking forward to seeing what the MCU were going to bring with Blade, and they basically were talking about like they took it off the docket. It was widely expected they were going to do this after Bob Iger stated in an earnings call on May 7th of this year that Marvel will release a maximum of 3 movies a year of the 4 superhero films Disney previously has slated for 2025, including Captain America: Brave New World, which, sidebar, I'm hearing is not getting great reviews based on test screenings. And prior to, they've been reshooting and working on this script and this film for the longest, and it's still being panned. So I'm a little worried, although I will go and see it because I like Anthony Mackie, and I definitely want to see what they plan on bringing with this and the Red Hulk and all that stuff. But as far as based off of what I'm hearing, I'm gonna go in not expecting greatness. I mean, we could all be surprised, and this could all be a lie, and it could be like, you know what, just art is subjective. People were just saying this mess, but then when you go and it's not as bad as everybody's trying to make this movie out to be. But I'm still kind of like gonna have my trepidations. Then they also have Thunderbolts and the Fantastic Four. I'm not that excited for Fantastic Four. Fantastic Four has never been like one of my top comic book things that I've cared about. I didn't particularly care for any of the movies. I didn't care about the ones with Jessica Alba and Johnny Storm. And what was that? Chris Evans, like when he was the original Johnny Storm, and then they played him off which was a cackle in Deadpool and Wolverine. I didn't pretty much care for those. I didn't care for the one with Michael B. Jordan and Miles Teller. I didn't care for those. And even though I am a fan of Pedro Pascal, I'm not that excited for this Fantastic Four movie. Now, when I see the trailer, I may have a different tune. I'll give it a gander. I'll still check it out. But it's not like must-see TV for me. And Thunderbolts, based on the trailer, that piqued my interest. So I may actually go check that out. But I'm still like I think I'm more or less on the fence because I've pretty much been disappointed with the rollout of the phases was phase 4 and 5. I don't remember what phase we're in right now. It's just been all over the place. And then I just feel like with the MCU, we've been oversaturated with a lot of the films that y'all were putting out, the shows, and a lot of fans felt, I think, overwhelmed. I don't think we had superhero fatigue. I just think that the MCU just overestimated a lot of things. Y'all, had too many shows coming out, too many movies coming out, and then y'all were interlinking everything. And then I think, like before, and I've said this so many times, when I've watched the MCU, I felt like even if I did not watch the shows, I didn't feel like I had to watch a movie of a superhero that I particularly didn't care for in order to know what was going on in the Avengers or what was going on in this other film or that film or whatever. I didn't feel like I had to watch certain things. But the way that the MCU were doing things in the newer phases, they were trying to interlink everything in so much like, oh, if you didn't see Miss Marvel, then you wouldn't understand what's going on in the Marvels. Or if you didn't see this film, you wouldn't understand what was going on in Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. So, I'll say that WandaVision. If you didn't see WandaVision, it would not have made sense. You would not have understood what was going on in this film. You wouldn't understand what was going on in Doctor Strange and Multiverse of Madness. And I know people who did not like WandaVision. And it was like one of my roommates when I lived in Brooklyn. He did not like the show because he didn't get the overall theme in regards of Wanda living in this world of American television because he's not American. He's Brazilian. So a lot of the the nuances and when you watch certain things of what was going on in the TV sitcoms and stuff, he didn't understand that. So he didn't like the show. And so when you go into this movie, now it's like, okay, now you're throwing me off. I'm not getting it. I'm not understanding. So that was, I feel like, the mistake that the MCU made. Hopefully they're going to course correct and get everything back on track. But I am a little upset because I really wanted this Blade movie. Like, I really would love to have seen Mahershala Ali. Like, I feel like aesthetically, he looks perfect as a proper predecessor to, Wesley Snipes passing the baton. Like, here's the thing. We need to be open to allowing other people to come in and play parts. Wesley Snipes is in his 60s. He's not going to be able to play the part forever. And I feel like we need to open ourselves up to allowing other people to come in. Now, they were talking about in the article, they said regular Marvel scribe Eric Pearson, who wrote the Fantastic Four, Thunderbolts, and Black Widow, is actually working on the script. Now, Michael Green worked on it in the past, Stacey Osei-Kuffour, Michael Starbury, Bo DeMeo, and Nick Pizzolatto. Now, we've already heard Bo DeMeo's pitch because he went on Twitter maybe about a month or two ago and posted his ideas that he had that he went to the MCU regarding the Blade script that they passed on. And I was like, this sounds like a pretty cool idea. But then again, a lot of ideas is one thing, but the execution of a script is another thing. So I guess we could take that into mind as well. But I like what Bo DeMeo had came up with. Now, they also said that they didn't want to move forward with a Blade that doesn't live up to its predecessors. Feige has said as much in prior interviews, noting that for the last few years, we've been trying to crack the movie. The most important thing for us is not rushing it and making sure that we're making the right Blade film. Well, I would think like with the source material that y'all have from Tomb of Dracula and things of that nature, and maybe even some, because I'm sure there's comics out there that have been comic books that have kept the whole Blade story going. Why not read some of those and get some ideas? I just don't understand how it's like the world's your oyster. There, we have comic books and things of that nature that writers can look to for inspiration, and you can cinemize it. If that's a word, I just made it up. You can put it in cinematic form because everything that works in a comic book is not going to work in the movies. It's just not how, it's just virtually impossible. You can't just take things off the comic book page and make it work in a cinematic world, which is what, they've been doing for the longest, which is like they don't take everything literally from the comics and put it in that whole situation. So, I don't know. I just felt like at this point, while, I would love to see a Blade movie, I don't think the MCU was the right universe for this film to exist in. And I just don't want my Daywalker to be Disney-fied. I don't know if, I don't feel like you could water it down. I feel like if you're going to go there, you need to kind of give it the Deadpool and Wolverine angle. I'm not saying that it's got to be comedy and dick jokes and things of that nature. I'm just saying tonally, it needs to be dark. It needs to be, action packed. There's got to be blood. I mean, you put CGI blood, whatever the case is, but it's got to have that grounded vibe of the original Blade, the Stephen Norrington one, because that's kind of like, I like that vibe. If you can give it a comic booky sheen like they did with the Guillermo del Toro version, but I need my Blade to be grounded. I need there to be mixed martial arts. I need to kind of and I need to be like John Wick battling vampires. That's basically what I would want to see with a Blade film. So I also don't understand why they would announce that they're making this movie, cast your lead, Mahershala Ali, which they did about 6-7 years ago, and then they still can't crack the code. So you had a revolving door of scriptwriters, who I just mentioned, 2 filmmakers, two directors dropped out. So if y'all can't figure out how to make vampirism work in an MCU world, then I feel like at this point what needs to happen is maybe you just need to move on and not make this movie and give it to somebody else, sell it to another thing, or have somebody else come in and crack the code, or just not be a part of the MCU, because I feel like y'all don't know what y'all doing over there in regards to this whole thing. So now, as far as like Predator Badlands, I'm definitely interested in seeing that, because Dan Trachtenberg, I thought, did a phenomenal job with Prey. Prey should have been released in the damn theater. It wasn't. It went straight to Hulu, and y'all left so much money on the table with that film. And now you realize that it was such a hit and people love this so much. Now Disney is looking at it as like, okay, now we need to release this in a theater, which I think is smart. Now, in regards of what they plan on doing with this whole thing and how they plan on putting it together, I am definitely curious about it. So I will definitely keep you guys abreast of the story as it develops. But in the meantime, in regards of Predator Badlands and Blade, but I ask all of you this: what do you think of this story? I mean, are you upset, shocked, not surprised, shocked and surprised, shocked and not surprised that that Blade's been pulled off the schedule? At this point, I feel like Mahershala Ali is in his 50s. He's unless you're doing an old man Blade with Mahershala Ali, I just feel like y'all just need to recast, find a younger actor. I don't know who. I mean, I don't think Michael B. Jordan. Michael B. Jordan's got his own vampire movie coming out and next year, early next year. So he's focused on that. If y'all have an idea of who a younger Blade should be and taking over from Mahershala, because I think Mahershala Ali is done. I think he hasn't made the announcement. I feel like he's moved on. I mean, he's doing the new Jurassic Park movie with Scarlett Johansson, so he's busy with that. And I'm sure he's got other things down the pipeline. And this whole making me wait almost a decade to play a vampire hunter is ridiculous at this point. It's like, and he's not getting any younger. Yes, black don't crack. And trust and believe that Mahershala still looks good at his age. However, I'm not going to sit around on my hands waiting a decade for y'all to figure out how to crack a code on how to bring a vampire hunter to the big screen. So I'm definitely curious to hear what you guys think of this story, as well as, who you think should replace Mahershala if it comes down to that. And what ideas do you think that they should take, or direction they should take with, bringing Blade to the big screen? So I want to hear all of that. So let me know what your thoughts are on this story in the comments down below. Okay, so Onyx says the Blade movie lost most of its hype, and unless they could bring back people's attention with a trailer or behind the scenes tea, I think that's basically where I'm at. Like, I feel like I've kind of lost all the hype behind it. Like, I was excited to when Mahershala was announced, and then I'm understanding, like, okay, like if you spend a year or two and it's like, okay, we're changing the script up or whatever, I can understand that. But it's been 6 years. That's way too long for y'all to still be trying to figure out how to develop a movie that has already been on the big screen 3 times and a TV series. Which, sidebar, Blade the series I saw was on the CW. So if y'all want to watch the old one with Sticky Fingers, y'all can download the CW app and watch it. I think it's also on Tubi, because I saw it was on there. So if y'all want to revisit that, and a couple of years ago, I gave it a rewatch. I didn't think it was as bad as it was made out, but I remember when it was on Spike TV. Yeah, it looked low budget, but It gave me my life for at the time when I watched it. But yeah, at this point, I just feel like the film has lost its hype. I'm just like, okay, whatever. Like when y'all ready to release it, release it. I'll watch it when it comes out. But I do agree. Like the only thing that's gonna pull me in: set photos, casting news, and a trailer. I feel like that's what's gonna pull me in at this point. At this point, I'm just like, whatever. I'll just report the news when it comes out. So there's that. All right, so let's move on. Let's get into some Liam Payne tea. So the toxicology report came out yesterday, and he had that good old Diddy drug up in him, that Tucci, that pink booger sugar. So the minute I heard that, when they said pink cocaine, I was like, yeah, isn't that the same stuff Diddy was caught with when he got arrested? So this drug is definitely making the rounds. I remember, like, I saw a report on one of the local news channels in New York, and it said like that pink cocaine is taking over the club scene in New York. Me, I'm not with all the stuff that they got up in there, and the way these days that they don't test drugs and they put all kinds of stuff in drugs. And I'm glad that they've created these drug testing kits. A friend of mine gave me one at Queen's Pride. He had one on him, and he was like, he gave me a drug testing kit because it's like you can't trust nothing these people put in things. They put all kinds of fentanyl and in your booger sugar and your weed and everything. I feel like the only thing you can drink, I was gonna say the only thing you can drink these days is alcohol. But based off of the Diddy stuff, no, you can't, because they lacing your drinks too with GHB and all kinds of mess. So anyway, let's get into the Liam Payne stuff, because the latest on him, as I pull this photo up, they said that he had multiple substances in his system when he died in Argentina, including a mix of drugs known as pink booger sugar, according to the initial results from his autopsy. Now, in a fresh update yesterday, it says today, but it was yesterday, it says preliminary results from toxicology tests of Mr. Payne's remains have found traces of cocaine, benzodiazepine, crack cocaine, and pink cocaine, which is a combination of methamphetamine, ketamine, and MDMA. So they had like the ecstasy, the ketamine, the meth is up in there, all kinds of stuff. And that's why I was telling you, like, I remember like people saying the description of the drug is like, it literally feels like when you're high, like your body is being pulled in two different directions, because it's like I believe it's an upper and a downer. And then on top of that, you're mixing it with alcohol, which I've heard that a lot of people do when they're in the club. So it's not only that they drinking, but they're also on top of that putting the pink booger sugar in their damn system, which is why they said at one point, you know, he went down into the lobby and he was convulsing. And I'm like, wait a minute. Now, if he's convulsing, which I believe is a minor seizure, when you close your eyes and you having like a little seizure, because drugs will do that to you. If you do enough enough of that white powder, or as Ike Turner called it in What's Love Got to Do with It, that narcotic. If you do enough of that, then what happens is that you can have like little minor seizures and stuff. So they say he was convulsing. Now, if anybody up in there doing a little twitching or whatever, wouldn't you call the ambulance? Like, that don't make no sense to me. Like, to me, it's like if I'm seeing somebody who is under the influence of drugs and you close your eyes at 1 minute and you have for a second and you convulsing on a chair or whatever, because you may have passed out or whatever the case is, my first thing would have been to call the ambulance. I'm not just gonna be like, okay, you're embarrassing yourself and the people are looking, so we need to get this person out of the public eye so that way they're not exposed and we don't look embarrassed. So they said that while tests of the substances, white powder, traces of chemical crystals, and prescription medicines found at his suite at the boutique hotel continue, results from a post-mortem of his body have been completed. It determined that the singer died instantly from multiple injuries after falling 45 feet from a third floor. Now, in a fresh update, preliminary results from toxicology tests of Mr. Payne remains have found traces of cocaine, benzodiazepine. We already talked about all of that. It said while tests on the substances, it said that, okay, so I just realized that it posted, for some reason, that article posted the same thing twice. So it said an improvised aluminum pipe commonly used to smoke crack cocaine was also found in his hotel room. Well, I don't know if it was like a pipe. Well, here's the thing. When it comes to pipes, people ain't doing crack. According to Whitney Houston, crack is cheap. So he could have been doing meth. A lot of the Methodists like to use a pipe. That's why they always say sucking on a glass dick. That's another one of the terminologies. So, when it comes down to it, it's like, yeah, when you're doing meth, a lot of people will use a crack pipe to smoke it. So it says that Argentine news website Infobay reported a forensic study carried out in Liam's body determined the presence of booger sugar. A test carried out by now a second test is to follow to determine the nature of the drug. Now, report by news network ABC added a partial autopsy found that the former One Direction singer, who died at 31, had multiple substances in his system when he fell to his death from the third floor balcony of his hotel room in Buenos Aires on October 16. Those substances include pink cocaine, a recreational drug that typically is a mix of several drugs, including methamphetamine, ketamine, MDMA, and others, as well as cocaine, benzodiazepine, and crack. So, another thing, because I do have a photo that I want to show y'all of the balcony, because I was wondering, I was like, where in the hotel was he actually staying? Well, they pointed it out. If you see the red circle, this is literally where his hotel room was, right here. So he fell from here all the way down here. And I believe there is a photo. Oh, wait, no, that's not the photo. That's the drugs. But I believe there's another photo that I saw. Hold on. Let me see if I can find it. So basically, it's this one. So yeah, you can see from there. But then here's another thing that I discovered before I get to this photo. That in Argentina, and I didn't know this, they actually consider the floor that he was on, and I learned this from Perez Hilton. The floor that he was on is technically the fourth floor. It wasn't the third floor. They consider the first floor is floor zero. I didn't know that that's how they go by things in other countries, but that's known as floor zero. And he was technically on the fourth floor. But if you look at based off of the way that the camera is shot, they probably use a drone or something or another to get that shot. I'm sitting there like, that looks pretty high up. That looks pretty high up in regards to where he fell. And I would have definitely freaked out from that. Based off of what he felt. I mean, from falling out from there. Okay, so here's a photo that I saw. And I wish I could blow this up. But if you look at the bottom photo down here, this table area that he fell from the balcony, they said that is where he, when you see the big square, is exactly like where he fell on top of. Like that's where his body was discovered. So I just want to get off of that because I was like, we're not gonna go and show the drugation situation. So I was like, yeah, let's move on to this photo. So yeah, so that was basically the update that I wanted to give y'all in regards of what they said that was found in his system. Also, they said that Mr. Payne Sr. is expected to stay in Buenos Aires until he could bring back his son's body. A funeral is set to take place in Britain in November. So yeah, at this point, they have to do the autopsy. They have to be able to figure out what was in his system, what had happened. From what I also had heard, that this is not the first time that Liam has climbed out of rooms before, because when he fell, he had his man bag, his fanny pack on him. And it looked like he was probably trying to go somewhere. So it looked like because he was locked in the room, which he shouldn't have been in the room by himself, he actually may have climbed out of the balcony, was trying to climb out the balcony to go into another person's room so that way he can get out and go, I guess, stroll or whatever, because they had left him by himself in the hotel room. And someone who's under the influence and erratic or whatever, they should not be left to their own device. They should not have been left by themselves. So unfortunately, that's a sad part of this. Now, the other thing that we heard is that police are probing 2 staff members at the hotel who may have supplied him with the drugs. So now they're saying that Argentinian authorities are probing 2 hotel staff members over allegations of supplying drugs to Liam Payne, the One Direction star who tragically fell to his death from, the balcony. The men who are accused of smuggling various narcotics in the singer's suite at the Casa Sur Boutique Hotel in the upmarket district of Palermo. A cleaner and another member of staff are said to have hidden the drugs in Dove soap box, which detectives found in 31-year-old Payne's room following his death. Well, we did see that because we saw. Yeah, I might have closed it. Hold on. Do I still have that? So yeah, let's go back to the drugs. So we see the Dove box here. So they're saying that's where they basically hid the drugs in for, him to get. So y'all sitting there thinking he got soap. Oh, he got soap, all right. He got some white. He got that old white stuff. But that white stuff, he was ingesting it. So they said that police have sent the chemicals believed to be cocaine and crack cocaine for analysis. Management of the Casa Sur are understood to have been made aware of the unusual behavior of the unnamed men and dismissed one member of staff. Now, detectives have also questioned the man about his possible role in Payne's death. There were 2 guys at the hotel that were giving Liam drugs. That's a close friend of Mr. Payne has revealed. They sent taxis out to collect packages for him. One of the guys was working in the cleaning department. After Liam died, they noticed that one taxi was sent to the cleaner's home address. The hotel manager asked him why the taxi had gone to his home, and when he couldn't give an explanation, he was fired. The cleaner and another member of the staff had been interviewed by the police. The friend added Liam was doing everything to stay clean, but as soon as he got to the hotel, these people were offering him alcohol and drugs. Now, reps for Casa Sur Hotel has declined, comment. So, yeah. So, unfortunately, this is a sad situation. I feel for, Liam, his family, and it's sad that, these people pretty much just took advantage of, this young man. And, he was at his most vulnerable of times going through what he was going through. And, my heart breaks for him and so many people who are, struggling with addiction. It's not an easy thing to, get over. Every day is a battle. Even when you finally get to that point of being clean, it's an everyday struggle. And I'm sure that there was a lot that was going, I couldn't even imagine being 17 years old and becoming the most famous person on the planet, being a part of a boy band that had this immense amount of success worldwide. And then when that comes to an end because other members of your group aren't happy, then it's like, well, how do I navigate? How do I figure out where I fit in this world post being, getting my butt kissed and I'm propped up and I'm being told I'm this amazing talent and I'm this and I'm that. And you got the red carpet just rolled out for you. The world is your oyster. And then when all that is taken away from you, it's like, well, damn, well, we all know now that everything that has a beginning has an end. Nothing lasts forever. Not everybody is going to be able to withhold that level of success for the rest of their lives. There's very few that can keep it stagnant and ride that coattail. There's very few artists out here that have been able to maintain having a long career. But what if that doesn't happen for you? How do you navigate through this world? And there is no rule book that teaches that. And we get to see so many people who are lucky enough to sustain that and not get caught up in that matrix, like a Beyonce, a Madonna, a Kylie Minogue, and you don't see them having to deal with that. But then we see others that have to deal with it. The Britney Spears who become a victim of it. A Liam Payne, unfortunately. I saw that child. I don't know. I was like, this might be a little controversial. But I was like, you know what? I kind of agree with him in a way. Perez Hilton said this. He said that when this whole thing happened with the whole One Direction thing, he expected to hear that like about Zayn. Like he expected Zayn to be the one that we all heard about that would go through that. That would be the one that we would hear that probably died from a drug overdose or something or another. But we know Zayn likes the weed. He's been very open about the fact that he smokes a lot of pot. I mean, he always looked like he hide in Cooter Brown anyway. But for the most part, I was like, yeah, we didn't expect. I think that Liam was the last person we would have heard that would have been caught up in some drugs. But he was like, well, because of all the things that Zayn has gone through with his mental health and being very open about it, and then the drama that he was going through with Gigi and her mother Yolanda and all that other stuff that was going on, that he expected to hear like Zayn would be the one that we would all hear about. But it was shocking to hear that it was Liam. But it goes to show that, you know what, you never know. And I feel like that's perception because of you're going based off of how this young man looks. And you would expect that Zayn would be the one because he has all the tattoos and he kind of has like this bad boy persona. And he was the one that first quit One Direction, which is why they are where they are today, because he was the first one to leave, because he wasn't liking what was going on in the group and he wasn't showing up when he was supposed to show up. You know, all the stories that we've talked about basically. So, yeah, it just goes to show that you never know what someone is going through. The person that you think is the strong one, that the one that you would least expect is going through some pain and some hardships, those are the ones we gotta check. We should check up on our strong friends just as much as we check in on our weak, perceived to be weak friends. So we need to check up on everybody. If you have a loved one or you know somebody, definitely check up on them and hug them tight. So I say all this to say, what do y'all think of this story? It's sad to hear all this stuff that's coming out with Liam. At least we got the toxicology report. I just can't wait for his father to finally, get all the closure that he needs to get, so that way he can take his son home and bury his child. And then, they get to have the proper funeral and the family and everybody gets to be there. And, and like I said, shout out to the One Direction fans and the Liam Payne fans who were nice enough to shield Liam's father from the paparazzi. The paparazzi were trying to get their little photos or whatever. The fans were putting their hands up, their bags, trying to cover him. And he thanked them and all this other stuff. And it's like, yeah, he's not a celebrity. Like, he's there to be there and grieve their child that's not coming back. So give people the grace to have what they need. And y'all paparazzi people, y'all need to stop always thinking about how, fattening y'all damn pockets or, getting TMZ's bussy to pucker so they can give you all the money that you want to get out of him. So anyway, let me know what you guys think of this story in the comments down below. I was like, I thought I had something in my teeth. I was like, what am I looking at? Because I was eating earlier. So I was like, I hope I ain't got nothing in my teeth. I'll be like Wendy Williams cleaning my teeth on national television. This is a do you think the One Direction members will one day speak out on Simon Cowell and what they went through? He did say he started drinking because of the minibar in the hotel room. They were looked in. Oh yeah, I mean they were locked in. But it'd be not, child. That's what I was wondering. I said, now are we expecting to get like a surviving Simon Cowell story? Like, is there a story there? I mean, look. We all know like the type of person that Simon Cowell was because when we watched American Idol, and we lived for the fact that he was up in there being a dream crusher and being mean and saying some of the most vile, nastiest stuff to people who were trying to, be singers and performers. So, yeah, and I don't know if it's Simon Cowell per se, or maybe it is, but the fact of that this whole idea behind enablers, that people who just get in this industry. And yeah, like the whole goal for a talent or anybody you work for is to make money and to be working and keeping them busy and all this other stuff. But if someone, we need to actually remember that people are human beings. They're not machines. They're not some horrible ass Elon Musk Tesla model. These are actual physical human beings that need time to charge their battery, that need a mental health break when they need one, that when it comes down to things, you don't lock them in their hotel room because you want to protect them from the crazy pandemonium of the fans. And then you lock them in a room with a mini bar. And then it's like, well, I don't have anything to entertain myself with. I mean, there's only but so much that I could watch on TV at the time. So I'm bored. I'm going to sit in a hotel. I can't hang out with my fellow contemporaries, my fellow band members. So you lock me in a room separated from everybody. And now there's a bar there. So now I'm just getting drunk, hanging out in my hotel room. And that starts the thing, because especially when you're underage and you're doing it. He was 17 when he got into One Direction. So he's probably like 17, 18, 19, 20. Your brain has your frontal lobe on men don't fully develop till you're 25. So at that point, you're starting the addiction because you haven't fully developed as a a full human until your mid-20s. So a lot of these things need to be taken into consideration. And to me, I feel like it kicked off the whole thing. But it's like, can we just sit out here? Because based on the article, they were trying to say, oh, we should blame, he was trying to stay clean, but then you have people trying to offer him drugs and offer him drugs and offer him drugs, and then he gave in. And it's like, but can we necessarily blame, the drug dealers because they're trying to make money off of him? Or is it the fact that he lacks willpower? So I feel like, it could be a combination of things. There's a lot of what ifs in this story. And so to be honest, I think Zayn would be the only one to speak out. Maybe Louis too. I knew Leon was going on podcasts and talking shit about the band members, so I wasn't surprised when he did. And the funny thing was, I've heard people trying to use this conspiracy theory and say, oh, Diddy killed him. I'm like, shut up. Oh, because he knew too much about what was going on. I said, can y'all stop with the conspiracy theories? Diddy ain't in everything. Now, now there is a conspiracy theory that I think that, and don't quote me on it, but I had this theory the other day, and I forgot to bring it up on the show. So I was thinking, like, remember that time when Jamie Foxx was and was talking about that he had passed out and there was some other stuff, and they were like, and then I saw that there was an article that came out that Ashton Kutcher, that Diddy was mad at Demi Moore because Demi Moore at the time, who was dating Ashton, was putting this, she was basically coming in between their friendship because he wanted them to hang out and party and stuff. And Demi's like, well, we in a relationship, so no, you are not going to be running around with that man. And he didn't like it. Diddy didn't like the fact that Demi Moore was stepping in. That was the story that came out, I believe, on Radar Online. And I was sitting there thinking, with that whole situation that happened with Jamie Foxx, I'm like, I would not be surprised because Jamie Foxx's name did come up and was somebody that he was, going to them parties. And I'm not surprised because I heard a story about Jamie Foxx running around butt ass naked and there was a piano or something or another. I forget who told that story, but I would not be surprised if Jamie Foxx, what happened with him and that whole physical situation had to do with him doing whatever them drugs was at them free calls. But he ain't talking about it. But I don't believe the whole thing in regards of did he have something to do with Liam's death. I'm like, y'all just be reaching. Harry and Niall are too quiet and personal to probably ever speak ill on the industry. And plus, I don't see them speaking on the industry because they're having a lot of success with their music. So while Harry is playing the game and Niall is successful in his own right, selling out arenas and things of that nature, I don't see either one of them speaking out. So as long as the game works for them, they're going to play it. Okay, so now let's get into this mess. So let's get into this Abercrombie story. So we did talk a bit about maybe about a month or two ago about CEO Mike Jeffries. There was actually it was prior to, I think a while back, maybe like a year ago, we talked about Mike Jeffries. And there was a documentary that I believe a docuseries that came out on Netflix, which was exposing Abercrombie and Fitch for being racist and all kinds of and body ableist or whatever you want to call it, because they wanted a specific body type and a specific type of male to wear their clothes and all sorts of stuff. First of all, I never understood the appeal of Abercrombie and Fitch. I just felt like it was a little too basic. It was never my judge in regards to the fashions. So I was never really into them like that. And plus, there weren't really any Abercrombie and Fitch stores that I would see that, okay, I would want to go in and buy their stuff. Except only one I knew was, there was one in Long Island. I don't know if it's still there, at Roosevelt Field Mall. I don't know. That was the only time I ever walked past or even seen an Abercrombie and Fitch store. I'm sure there was some in Midtown Manhattan or wherever else. But for me, the only time I noticed one was down in Long Island. So we did talk about it a little bit. There were some guys that came out and accused Mike Jeffries and other men. I think it was somebody he was also in a relationship with, of like trafficking, drug use, prostitution, all that stuff. Then it was last month, I believe, more people came out in like a BBC documentary that they had did. It was a follow-up. I believe they had more men that came out and said things have happened. Now this morning, it came out that former Abercrombie and Fitch CEO Mike Jeffries and 2 other men were arrested and charged with 16 counts of trafficking and interstate prostitution by federal prosecutors in New York. Child, I tell you, they keep the sex crimes unit over in New York Very busy. Hey, Donald Trump. Hey, Diddler. And they also keeping the mayor of our city is they keeping the legal system busy over here too with all his federal crimes. We ain't seen him since. I don't know where he hiding at. Probably in Gracie Mansion because he ain't in the jail. Now, it said that Jeffries has been arrested in West Palm Beach, Florida. Two other associates, Matthew Smith of West Palm Beach and James Jacobson of Wisconsin, were also arrested in connection with the trafficking charges. I just realized I ain't pull a picture up. Please hold. I was like, so y'all know who this Mike Jeffries look like. Child, he look like he a victim of a lot of bad plastic surgery. So they said Jeffries was the CEO of the popular clothing brand Abercrombie & Fitch from 1992 to 2014. They are expected to appear in federal court in Florida and Wisconsin today and arraign on a later date in the Eastern District of New York. So basically, they down in Florida and Wisconsin, and then they actually, to arraign them. And then they're going to actually have the case. They're coming down in New York to be tried. Interesting. But I guess probably because this is where they did all their dirt. So they also said the U.S. Attorney of the Eastern District of New York will have a press conference on the charges Tuesday at noon. So it's 3:00 here already. So I'm sure it happened. And when it comes down to it, I guess I will pull up the video and we'll probably go through that maybe tomorrow. Depending on if more stuff comes out. So it says the federal indictment alleges that Jeffries, along with Smith and Jacobson, operated an international trafficking and prostitution business from 2008 to 2015. It alleges that they organized sex events in England, France, Italy, Morocco, St. Bart's, and New York for Jeffries, Smith, and others. Well, that's probably why they tried him here, because of all the places that they mentioned, the only place that they were doing it in the United States was New York. They employed coercive, fraudulent, and deceptive tactics in connection with the recruitment, hiring, transportation, obtaining, maintaining, solicitation, and payment of the men to engage in commercial sex. The men who attended the event allegedly were led to believe that it could lead to modeling opportunities or help their careers, or that not complying with the requests for certain acts during the sex events could harm their careers. The men were required to sign NDAs and surrender their wallets and cell phones during the events. Jeffries, Smith, and Jacobson, Jeffries, Smith, and Jacobson also allegedly recruited, hired, and paid an exclusive set of household staff to facilitate and supervise the events. The staff provided Jeffrey Smith and the men who attended alcohol muscle relaxers known as poppers, lubricant. Now, you know this is a gay party if they had the poppers chair. I'm surprised they didn't have that at the Diddy party. He had the lube, though. Lube, Viagra, and condoms, among other items. Either Jacobson or the staff paid the men for attending the events, the indictment said. Wait, did it say either Jacobson or the staff paid the men, or neither Jacobson or the staff? Because they're saying, because that don't make no sense. You can't say either Jacobson or the staff paid the men. It's like either they did or they didn't. So I'm thinking that they didn't pay them. Now, Jeffries, Smith, and Jacobson each face single count of trafficking, as well as 15 counts of interstate prostitution tied to 15 alleged victims. The news of Jeffries' arrest comes 1 year after the BBC News published an explosive report that said Jeffries exploited men at parties he hosted. The report said 12 men described attending or organizing events that included acts for Jeffries and his partner, Matthew Smith, and those events took place in 2009 and 2015. Some of the men who spoke to BBC said they were exploited or didn't participate willingly. So, child, you're sitting up in here running a little prostitution ring with the under the guise of a career boost. Sounds similar to what Diddy's been accused of. You promising record deals, you're promising career boosts and all this quid pro quo stuff. Oh, if you do this for me, then I'll do this for you. But then you're giving opportunities under false pretenses, and then when these people are thinking that they're coming there to be models, they're coming there to live the dream, you're basically, because they're attractive and you're taking advantage of them. Predators exist in all shapes, sizes, colors, and genders and sexual orientations. We got predators in the gay community. I don't like the fact that, because it feeds, I don't like hearing talking about this, but we got to talk about it because everybody's going to get it. I'm not just going to sit up here and go in on one side and not talk about all the others. Just like a lot of y'all like to run around with that weak narrative. Oh, yeah, we're going in on black people. It's like, this man ain't black. We talking about it. We'll see if all the other people talk about it and pick it up. But I ain't worried about nobody else. We worried about, we expose people over here that need to be exposed. So when it comes down to it, I just don't like predators. The people that just sit up here and use their position of power to where you should be trying to help people have the career that they would want to have as being a model and or an actor or whatever, or a musician, whatever the case is. And here y'all go using these people's dreams as a weapon just to get sexual favors out of them. I'm sorry, but I can't get moist for somebody who is not into it. Like, if you're not into some stuff, I understand that rape and all that other stuff, SA, all of that is about power. It's not about sex. But I just don't understand how people can get off on trying to force people to do something they don't want to do. Like, I don't get the joy, or I don't know how people can get their jollies off that way. I was like, what? Wait, hold on. Why is Justin Bieber name up in here? Oh, why is the last name Bieber? Because Jeffries' attorney's name is Brian Bieber. I was like reading part of the article as I was talking. I was like, wait a minute. Why am I seeing Bieber's name in here? Well, look, Justin Bieber ain't the only one around in the world who last name Bieber. Like I said, so Jeffries' attorney, Brian Bieber, told NBC News at the time that Jeffries would not comment on reports about his personal life. Well, we can see he a big old queen with all that filler in his face that I just showed y'all. Abercrombie and Fitch said that the company was appalled and disgusted by the allegations in the BBC report. Now, Bieber told NBC News on Tuesday, in response to the arrest, "We will respond in detail to the allegations after the indictment is unsealed and when appropriate, but plan to do so in the courthouse, not the media." Oh, look, y'all actually gonna do y'all job and actually let the court handle it and not be like some of these other vultures like Diddy attorney who likes going on TMZ and all these other places to run his mouth any chance he gets. I don't like when a lot of you attorneys be trying to act like y'all want to be celebrities. Just go and do your job. You went and passed the bar and you became a legal eagle, whatever, all them years that you put into work. Stick to that. Everybody want to be, not all of y'all could be Star Jones and Joy and Sunny Hostin. I'm gonna say Joy Behar, but it was like not all y'all can be Star Jones and Sunny Hostin. Not all y'all have the knack to get on camera and be like the show person. Just do your job. Stick to the rivers of the lakes. So they said today's arrests are monumental for the aspiring male models who were victimized by these individuals. Attorney Brittany Henderson, who was representing victims from that class action lawsuit, said in a statement on Tuesday, "Their fight for justice does not end here. We look forward to holding Abercrombie and Fitch liable for facilitating this terrible conduct and ensuring that this cannot happen again." Now, here's another thing that I want to know, Chad. Do y'all think that we could see a Monsters season from Ryan Murphy to my Abercrombie and Fitch? Like, I would not put nothing past him in regards to wanting to create something out of this, because it's a case. But I don't want to see young models being exploited. But on the other hand, I do feel like that is a world that needs to be exposed. I do feel like that a lot of this is, and here's the thing that I love now, that I feel like we have definitely come a long way. And it's even me thinking, speaking of Ryan Murphy, the stuff regarding the Menendez brothers. I'm so glad that now that people are looking at the Menendez brothers in a different way, through a different lens, and are actually taking into consideration the sexual abuse that they endured at the hands of their no good ass father, who Felix, friend of the show, was telling me that there's a new documentary or docuseries or something about the Menendez brothers and Menudo on, I think he said Hulu or one of those channels. And I think it might be Hulu, Peacock. I have to check. I can't remember off the top of my head, but I think it's Hulu. But anyway, so, or if y'all know, drop it down in the comments. But he was talking, we were talking, yesterday about it or something or another. He was telling me. And then basically was saying something or another of like how one of the members of Menudo opened up and talked about it. And we first became aware of the abuse at the hands of the Menendez brothers' father, Jose, because of the original Menudo documentary that came out couple of years ago. So that's when the wheels started turning. We all kind of had that idea, and I had like, maybe something did happen to them. But then, of course, all the documentaries started coming out within the last couple of weeks, and then the Monsters series. So I love the fact that there is a light finally being shined on male sexual abuse in the world, and that more people are talking about it. Because here's the thing: when it comes to women in SA, it's less than 3%. That's a ridiculously low number in regards of the ones that goes reported. Now, can you imagine the number for men, especially when we are in a society where we hear stories about police officers and things of that nature making jokes about men being abused? Because there's this whole machismo thing that I think a lot of men have in their mind, where they think that, well, women are the weaker sex. How could you allow yourself as a man to get R-worded? And I'm sitting there like, what the hell does me having a dick between my legs got to do with me being sexually assaulted? What does that have to do with anything? Like, anybody can get it. Anybody can get got. It don't matter your gender. And I feel like a lot of people need to wake up and start understanding that. This is why I also said about police, y'all need to take a criminal justice class and not just run up in there, go to school, learn how to shoot a damn gun. And that's basically it. I don't want to demean y'all as like that's all y'all do, but y'all definitely need that. There needs to be some criminal justice courses, put into y'all situation, as well as y'all trying to understand how to deal with people with mental health issues or people with disabilities. Because I see y'all out here tasing, dudes that deaf dude that had the disability. I heard the story about that. Y'all tasing that man can't hear you. So y'all be so quick to want to, incite violence because y'all jobs be so boring. It's not as exciting as them cop shows y'all be seeing on TV. So when y'all just standing around all day, walking the beat because your day is not as exciting, it's like, yeah, they need to incorporate more things into, so that way the police understand how to deal with people in general. So I'll definitely be keeping my eye on this story. And like I said, we're not just only going to talk about Diddy over here. Anybody that come out and get accused of some abuse, we're going to talk about it on this show. So I say all this to say, what do y'all think of this story? I mean, I'm glad that, the models of Abercrombie and Fitch are finally getting their justice. The fact that these, how despicable this tired old queen and his man was. Well, y'all sit up here taking it, and he's in his 80s and finally getting it. That's what I'm saying. Don't think that just because, you did some stuff back in the day that you're not going to repent for your sins or, have to pay for your sins, I should say. Release and repent. So let me know what you guys think of this story and this, in the comments down below. Okay. He said, "Oh yeah, Felix is in the building." He said, "I remember thinking he looked creepy." Child, first of all, oh yeah, I forgot he was in that. He did. That was like, this is why I always say when men get filler and all that other stuff, y'all be looking crazy. Even more crazier than the women. They look like that scene in Agatha All Alone. Remember when they did that spell and their face swelled up when they drank the wine? That's what his face was giving. But anyway, so it said, oh yeah, okay, so it's on Peacock. I didn't know if he was in the building, so that's why I was like, I wasn't sure, whatever, because I can see how many people are watching, but I can't see who's watching unless y'all comment. So they also said on 2020 they did an episode about the Menendez, but didn't they just recently do that one with Sunny Hostin? And you said Menendez brothers, and they talked a lot about to the family members who are defending them. Even their mom's sister was saying they should be released. Well, I feel like it will happen. Like you said, the manager of Menudo. And yeah, they said, child, he was the one that was doing the abusing, him and Jose. So Jose ain't here to defend himself. He got to have his head blown off by his child. So, but the manager's here. And I don't think we'll ever hear Ricky Martin talk about it. Ricky Martin going to take that stuff to his grave. So we'll never hear from him. But I would like to hear, like, if Robbie Draco Rosa or many of the other ones who were part of Menudo had to deal with any of that abuse. But I feel like until they feel comfortable enough, I guess we won't hear from them. But yeah, I definitely got to check that. I haven't checked out Peacock in a minute. I need to take a gander over there. Okay, so now, child, speaking of Diddy, let's get into him. So 50 Cent, has his, speaking of series, has his upcoming series about 50 Cent coming out. About 50 Cent has his series about Diddy coming out on Netflix soon. And he's reflecting because he did an interview with People. He's opening up about Combs and the alleged behaviors before he was charged with the S trafficking and the racketeering and the transportation to engage in prostitution and all that other stuff. Because he said that I've been talking about Diddy for years. He called him weird, that he tried to take him. Remember, he tried to take him clothes shopping or something or another. And he's like, wow, how you a grown man trying to take another, inviting another grown man to go shopping? And I'm looking at that as that is very, as a out and proud homosexual, that is a little gay. I will say that. So for 50 Cent to come out and say, I was like, I agree. So now it says, in an exclusive conversation with People, the 21 Questions rapper, who's 49, opened up about Combs, who's 54, and his alleged behaviors before he was charged. Now, speaking about how he would poke fun at Combs' life during concerts and on social media before the star's recent legal troubles, 50 Cent says, look, it seems like I'm doing some extremely outrageous things, but I haven't. It's really me just saying what I've been saying for 10 years. He adds, now it's becoming more full-facing in the news with the Puffy stuff. I just love how there's certain people that still call him Puffy. Wendy Williams will always call him Puffy, and I like the fact that he still calls him Puffy. So they also said, but away from that, I'm like, yo, it's just my perspective because I stayed away from that stuff the entire time because that's not my style. Now, 50, who will soon embark on his In the Club Las Vegas residency, which, no shade, I like you, 50, and everything, and I'm, kudos to you for, building your own studio and what you're doing as a cinematic mogul, but I don't get the residency because, no shade, I just don't feel like 50 was that popping enough musically that he could sustain a residency. But they found a way to work around it, so if you like it, I love it. So they also said that 50 and Combs first began feuding following the release of the 2006 diss track The Bomb, in which 50 Cent accused Combs of having something to do with the murder of Biggie. And which, he has denied, although a lot of people are siding and think that there's been a conspiracy theory that has gone around. There's a lot of people that also believe he may have had something to do with Kim Porter's unaliving. With her dying of, what was it, the brain aneurysm or something, and she was a little too young to be going through all of that. So they feel like there was something, like they not buying what they selling with that whole situation with Kim Porter and how she passed, that he may have had something to do with it, especially, with all these allegations of abuse that has come out. So people are kind of been side-eyeing him. There's people that believe that he has something to do with Tupac's death too. So there's been a lot of conspiracy, and this was long, for years I would hear in that story, but also a lot of people believe that he may have had something to do with Tupac and may have had something to do with Biggie. And knowing Diddy, how he was steamroll over people, which I can't wait to get in this DJ Envy story, because I feel like this is pertaining to him. When it comes to the way, he's such a mogul and he created all these hits and things. But then it's like when you look at the bigger picture, now people are looking at it as like, so what did he have to do? And who did he have to steamroll over to be able to get all the accolades and the financial, sustainability that he's been able to accumulate to get to his billionaire status? Especially how, we know all the stories about how he would steamroll over other musicians, stealing their publishing, all that other stuff, and how they would be left broke. And I can't wait to see this Shine documentary because I saw the trailer yesterday and they have that coming out. I believe it's coming out in November on Hulu. So I saw that recently. I'm like, okay, that looks pretty good. Like, I'll definitely be checking that out. And said that Diddy basically used him as a scapegoat. Said the thing we all been saying while he was rotting in jail for 10 years is that he was used as a scapegoat while him and Hennifer got off scot-free. For those of you who are new to the show, Hennifer is Hennifer Lopez. J-Lo, Henny from the block. We don't call her Jennifer. She's known as Hennifer. So they also said that this is a story with significant human impact. It is a complex narrative spanning decades, not just the headlines of clips seen so far. This is what he's talking about, with his upcoming documentary that he's doing for Netflix, which is being produced by G Unit Film and Television. He said, "We remain steadfast in our commitment to give a voice to the voiceless and to present, authentic and nuanced perspectives. While the allegations are disturbing, we urge all to remember that Sean Combs' story is not the full story of hip-hop and its culture. We aim to ensure that individual actions do not overshadow the culture's broader contributions." And I agree with that. I was like, I really hope that, because I've heard that, Method Man even said that recently, that he don't want y'all sitting up out here thinking that just because this whole situation happened with the Diddler, that what y'all need to do is, try to lump all of hip hop under one brush. And that's just one part of it. And I'm sure there's some people that was a part of Diddy's situation was living and doing it and taking advantage. Like some of the stories we heard, that there were certain celebrities that was watching, and then they said that there was some athlete that stopped Diddy because he had groped some dude or whatever the case was. So he was out here doing all kinds of crazy stuff. And I'm glad there were some people out there that intervened, but those people who were partaking in the assaults, y'all need to be called, before the judge. And y'all names need to be exposed so we know how to, we have to cancel y'all. So while on one hand I'm gonna have to read you 50. Now I gave you your props for a second. Now I gotta read you. So now I'm glad that you are coming out and you're doing this whole thing with Diddy or whatever, and you're showing off, you're trying to, windmill hard for hip hop and show that he was just one rotten apple in the whole situation. We can't forget about some of your own history of abuse. So is it a case of right message, wrong messenger in this situation? I definitely want to hear from you guys on what y'all think in regards to that. Definitely drop your comments, your thoughts in the comments, I should say, down below. So hold on, because we have comments. You said one of the guys who was molested by the manager died a few years ago, and Roy talked to his. But okay, he said Diddy wanted to be 50 Sugar. Okay, and I'm sure there was some people that'd be willing to do that, but 50 is definitely that dude that's like, I am not. I'm somebody that can pull myself up by my own bootstraps. I don't need you to try to give me no kind of nothing, so that way that'd be an opportunity for you to grope my meat or grab my ass or do whatever. Like, no, we're not doing that. Not you. Or anybody. Nobody has a right to put their hands on you or try to use you in a way to like get sex out of you. And I see Faith Evans was in the documentary for Shine too. I wonder if she's gonna end up being in the Diddy one. He said the guy's brother said his brother had warned him to forget about being in the band because he was trying to protect him. And again, it's like, but yeah, it's like I could understand that, but then at the same time, when you're someone who is vigilant and someone who's so desperate to make it, that you forego the signs, and then people see that and they exploit you and they take advantage of you, and that's the sad part. Because there's so many kids that come up in times of like, oh, I just want to be, I want to be a star because they have the talent and they have the gift, but also they're looking at it as a way, because we heard this when we watched the docu-series on Nickelodeon. A lot of them were like, they came from impoverished neighborhoods. A lot of them came from, this is my opportunity to be on TV so I could take my mom out of the hood and I could buy her a house and we can finally live great. Like we don't have to live in the projects. We don't have to worry about, people shooting, me coming home, doing 12 to 16 hour work day or whatever the case is. And that's the way that a lot of people look at it. And it's like, I want to go from this place to this place, and to take my parents out of, or my mother, because I'm from a single parent household, which is why, or a family of divorce, which is where a lot of these predators like to prey on children who are from broken homes, who are from single parent households. This is why you got to watch stuff. I just saw a thing on Neighborhood Talk. A dude went and killed his girlfriend's daughter, who was a teenager, pretty little girl. Saw the picture, everything. I was so pissed off about that, because shot her basically because he wanted to have sex with the kid. Like, what is wrong with people? What is wrong with y'all? So it's a crazy world out here. You better protect y'all kids. And I'm wondering who the woman was that was the witness. So, exactly. I want to know who all the witnesses are. The people that seen the stuff, that looked the other way, that was, didn't help these kids while they were being abused, or adults that were being abused. I need that tea to come out. I need them exposed. Now, child, let's get into this mess. So, DJ Envy recently, he's speaking out to defend the diddler and feels that the judge should give Diddy bail. So he went on his wife's podcast, the KC Cruz Show, when he outlined his thoughts on Puffy's criminal case, which, accuses him of forcing women to have sex with male prostitutes for his pleasure and running a criminal enterprise that engaged in kidnapping, arson, bribery, among other crimes. Now, I wouldn't read y'all what he said. However, I thought it'd be far more entertaining to take a gander over to the YouTube and play the clip of him talking to his wife Gia on the podcast. Hopefully there won't be no interruptions with commercials and things of that nature. But yeah, I want y'all to hear what he got to say, hear what she got to say, and then we'll come back and I'll give my thoughts, and then y'all can drop y'all thoughts down in the comments. So please hold.
What are my thoughts? That's such a broad
I'm just
question.
Just crazy because everybody has their opinion.
You want to narrow that question down? There's a lot of thoughts about Diddy.
Well, with everything that's going on, do you have an opinion? I mean, you've seen everything that's going on, and I'm sure people would love to hear your opinion.
Well,
what's your thoughts on everything that's going on?
People in the industry and around the industry have heard all of this for many, many, many years. I've known people that have claimed to be eyewitnesses to all types of stuff that have gone on, as do you. So now it's kind of like, wow, it seems like everything's coming to a head right now. And it seems like he is going to be in hot water, so hot that there is no recovery. There's no recovery from it. Because let's just say, playing devil's advocate, he's found innocent on all charges. His reputation is ruined. The damage is done. I never like to say that I believe something is true until I've been presented with all of the facts. And we haven't been presented with all the facts.
That's true.
We saw with our own eyes what happened between him and Cassie. So that doesn't need to be spoken of. We all are very, very, very clear on that. And I'm sure we all have very clear opinions about that. But relating to the new charges, we haven't seen the evidence. I can say that it appears as though he's guilty, but I can't cast my judgment until I hear a lot more about it. But it doesn't look good for him.
I will say this: Diddy's a freaky nigga. Like freaky. Like freaky Friday, freaky Thursday, freaky Monday, freaky Wednesday. And there's nothing wrong with being a freaky person.
There's nothing wrong with being
So
a
the fact
freaky
that he
person.
has 1,000 bottles of baby oil and lube just means he just likes to get shit popping. And there's nothing wrong. There's nothing illegal about that. Now, the one thing I will say that I don't like is I don't like how people, I mean, everybody's going to crack a joke. I mean, it is what it is. I don't like how people convict him before hearing all of the evidence, right? I didn't like the fact that they didn't give him a bond. And the reason is he was going to put up $50 million, his house, his mom's house. The reason I feel that is he was giving up his passports. Diddy has 3 kids without a mom, right? Kim Porter passed away. So he has 2 twins that are 17 years old that don't have their dad right now and probably won't have their dad for the next 2 years until the trial is over. I feel like he should have got a bond and been able to fight this outside while he did. Harvey Weinstein had a bond. Bill Cosby had a bond. OJ had a bond. And people could say OJ ran. He took off and they chased him and he still had a bond. Now, in this society, it feels like you're guilty and you have to prove yourself to be innocent. But it should be the other way. You should be innocent to proven guilty. Now, the stories that I'm hearing, like I said, I don't know. Hopefully soon we'll see evidence, but I do think it's sad that somebody with such a great legacy is destroyed because of the things that he did. Now, if he did do the things that they said that he did, he should go to jail for a long time. If he did, absolutely, positively, not even looking back, he should fucking go to jail. But we'll see. And the reason I asked you is because, you know, people always ask, how does that affect how you listen to his music, though?
Before I answer that question, him having 3 children that are already without a mother and potentially will be without a father if, you know, being that he's not released on bond has nothing to do with it.
It does.
Not to me.
Well, it does. Look at.
Hold on. I don't think that has anything to do with it. There's a lot of people that commit crimes that their home life is not all sewn up. That's not a factor. If I'm a judge, that's not a factor. Hopefully you have family that can step in your absence. I'm more so just leaning to what's fair because I don't believe in anyone being convicted until, you know, they're proven guilty. What was the reasons that were provided as to why he was denied bond?
3 things. One, the video of Cassie where he showed that he was violent.
Okay, there are people that may have been convicted of violent crimes that are up for another crime and receive bond. So I don't believe that him being a violent person would be responsible for him being denied bond.
That was one of them.
That's who said that? Who provided that information? Okay.
That was one of them. 2 was the reason they felt like he has enough money that he could be a flight risk. He could leave. And 3 was I guess he contacted a person like 123 times.
And other girl in Dirty Money.
Correct.
Yes.
Okay, so we could pause it there because when you're saying that was basically the reasons, I don't think that was only the reasons. Number one, I just feel like DJ Envy, you work in the media space, you over there at the Breakfast Club. Are you doing the same type of research that Jess Hilarious be doing, which is absolutely none? Because I don't understand how you just be over there saying all kinds of stuff, spewing things out of your mouth, and you don't have all the information. When I'm sure that all the Black media blogs are covering this story. So all the evidence is there. I don't think now here's the thing. I think a lot of people also forget, after the whole Cassie situation, it was 6 months before the police swooped in, the FBI swooped in and arrested him. Clearly off of things that he had in place, or they had in place, that there were things that they were aware of, especially when they did the raids. They looked at all the videos, they looked at all the little freak off tapes or whatever the case was, and probably seen some things that they felt like, okay, well, we need to grab this dude and lock him up and not let him out of jail. Also, for you to sit up here and think, oh yeah, he's not a flight risk. He said he was going to turn in all these other things. He was going to turn in the passport, this and the other. Yeah, that's great and all. However, you could turn on all that stuff, but don't necessarily mean that, okay, yeah, he won't be able to leave, but he could probably still have access of going after these potential witnesses, especially with all these other stories coming out with Dawn Richard saying what she was saying, all these other allegations that's come out. Yeah, there's been hundreds of people since then that have come out with their allegations. They're accusing him of all these things. So they want to hold him in jail because they feel like he is a danger to society. For years they've been talking about how like Diddy has a lot of pull, a lot of power in a lot of places. And just because you turn in your little passport and your cell phone and all this other stuff doesn't necessarily mean that you can't find somebody to bring you a phone. And you can make a little phone calls and do what needs to be done. Have you not watched enough gangster movies? Like, we know how this works. And especially when hip hop tries, especially during the Diddy era and everything, pride itself of gangster culture. The Scarface type and the Godfathers and stuff. They come from that era of bringing that into the hip hop world. The money, power, respect, and being like that whole mogul, Donald Trump-esque, larger than life, Reaganism or Reaganomics of, monetary situations and bringing that into the whole hip hop space. So, Envy, you old enough. First of all, this is another embarrassing thing for me. How are you a damn Virgo, but you sound stupid with the shit coming out of your mouth? September 3rd, literally a day after me. He older than me, but it literally September 3rd. I'm September 2nd. But you sound so dumb in your lack of intelligence. So I don't even understand that. So the funny enough, I believe, I agree with Gia and what she had to say in the whole situation. It's like, I get the whole innocent until proven guilty thing, but I don't think it's as simple as y'all trying to make it. I feel like y'all trying to simplify what had happened. And also when you talking about, oh, he a freaky N-word. Yeah, you could be a freaky nooka, a freaky ninja, as I like to say. I only say nigga when I need to make a point. But you could be a freaky ninja if you need to. But for the most part, nobody's going in on him for being a freak. You can have your little fetishes and this, that, and the other, all you want. The fact of the matter is you need to have consent when you doing said freakiness. If you're going to be freaky at your little sex parties or whatever the case was, there needs to be things to be like, okay, so there's boundaries and there's consent. Like, there are rules that you abide by when you do the freak offs, when you do sex parties, when you do I've been to enough freak offs, not the Diddy ones. It'd be a cold day in hell if you see my ass up in there. But I've done enough like regular sex parties in New York where there is boundaries. There are rules that you abide by when you are, sex party etiquette. But he felt like because of who he is, he could do whatever he wants to anybody and without any consequence. So that's what we're talking about. We're talking about consequence. Stop with this whole taking a black man down and all this other stupid, simp bullshit narrative that a lot of y'all like to pull to justify the ridiculousness and the stupidity because you are someone who values a man with money or wealth and that sort of thing. Because that's why I feel like envy's coming from this on. And I like the fact that Gia got his ass together because he was up in there talking about like trying to cut her off. It's like, well, let me finish. You asked me a question, but because you don't agree with it, you want to just cut me off. And let's not forget, this is the same fool that cheated on Miss Gia. So I'm not gonna listen to no man that cheated on his wife trying to talk about, oh, Diddy's is a freak. And I don't know if you've been paying attention, sir, but that wasn't just some old baby oil that they was rubbing on each other and just like slipping and sliding and doing oil wrestling on, a bunch of clear garbage bags. That's not what was going on. There was GHB found in the baby oil. They did the toxicology report. So he had drugs inside of the baby oil. So it wasn't just regular baby oil. These people rubbing over, and then people just like, and you had these dense people out here talking about like what do they drink in the baby oil? I'm like, are y'all stupid? Like, first of all, you do know that you can get high faster by ingesting drugs in other ways. Everything ain't got to be consumed through the throat or up the nose. There are people that take enemas up the ass with alcohol or whatever the case is because there's nothing that'll sop up the liquor. So you're going to get drunk faster. Or the same thing like with the GHB and the baby oil. You rub it up on, you're going to get high faster that way because it's ingested in the skin. That's common damn sense. But I realize I always forget common sense ain't so common when it comes to a lot of people. So you have to explain things. And it's not that I would know, but it's just that it's an obvious thing that you could think about of how there are ways to ingest. And plus, I know enough people who tell me some stuff about drugs and things, and I live vicariously through them because I told you I don't do hard drugs. Now, I've done my share of things back in the day, but when I was younger, in my 20s. But now it's just like, I like life. And the way and the stuff y'all be putting things and the stuff y'all be injecting in these drugs these days, like this rise on pink cocaine and fentanyl and everything. I ain't messing with these drugs. So I just don't understand like him out here windmilling hard. And I really wish that I would have read the comments, like if there were comments of people who dragged him over what he said. But I'm sure there's people out here that still defended Diddy. Like if it was anybody else that was we were talking about, I could understand the innocent until proven guilty angle and wanting him to, okay, that maybe he could live, take care of the kids, all sort of stuff. But here's the thing, you should have thought of all of that while you were still having your little freak offs and doing the abusive things while you was raising your children. So let's not use the kids as an excuse. Oh, well, these kids are running around without their father. Like who? The twins and the little girl that he has, the 2-year-old Love. She got a mother. But I'm sure he was never going to marry her like he ain't married any of the other tuna salads that he was hunching. So he was over there, so why he said in jail, and then plus all the kids is grown. Christian is what, 30? He don't need no babysitter. King Combs is an adult. You know, all the kids are an adult except the twins, the 17. Were they 17? And there's somebody that stepped in. Kim Porter's good. Judy is watching them. So, while in theory I understand, oh well, they are without. There's a lot of people out here who do criminal activity that's without their parents. And like I say, you do the crime, you do the time. Y'all can't just be out here thinking y'all could just do whatever y'all want to people and not pay a consequence. And to hear DJ Envy defending this mess, I'm not surprised. And I still wonder what's going on with that case about him and the alleged Ponzi scheme with the real estate out in Jersey. Y'all hear any tea on that? Maybe I need to do a little research and see what's the update on that story. So I say all this to say, what do y'all, speaking of stories, what do y'all think of this one? So whatever your thoughts are, y'all know what to do. Drop it down in the comments down below. Okay, so you said, I think DJ Envy was on Madonna's Sticky and Sweet tour because she said his name into, oh, he probably was. Oh, you said DJ Inferno. Yeah, DJ Envy, he does like a lot of hip hop. Oh, so it wasn't him. So you said he was a DJ on Madonna's tour. You said Diddy has been caught on tape saying he should be able to get whatever he wants and gets mad when he doesn't. Absolutely. And that has been the overall argument that I think a lot of people have been having. Diddy is somebody who wants to do whatever he wants to anybody and not suffer the consequence for how he treats people. We've heard many stories over the years. And even his wife, and even Gia says in the thing, we've heard stories about Diddy for decades. Even you have heard it. She even threw her own husband under the bus. But he refuses to acknowledge that part, but wants to bring up this other stuff to try to be like, oh, yeah, y'all should just let him out. He was let out. He was let out for them 6 months after the whole thing with Cassie. He didn't get arrested. He settled the money and was out here still doing whatever, living his best life, going down to Central Park, hanging out with us commoners. And then, what was it? Like within 24 hours or that same day, less, he was locked up. So he was running around here, fruitful and fancy free. And everybody was asking in the comments, why is he still running around, whatever. Probably because they had nothing on him to lock him up. Now that they've gone through all the evidence when they raided his homes and found them videos, because even Diddy said that he believed that the FBI leaked the Cassie video because he had it in his person. He had it locked up in a vault, in a safe. So he believed that the FBI leaked it, and maybe they did. I wouldn't be surprised if they did or didn't, but I believe that they did. But what does that have to do with the fact that you were out here doing these criminal things? So they clearly seen something. Otherwise, they would not have any reason to have him locked up. So when y'all try to play this whole thing of, oh, well, we have to just, guilty, innocent until proven guilty. Yeah, in the perfect world, I do agree with that. But when it comes to the diddler, hell to the no. Lock his ass up, leave him there, and put him under the jail. Now, here's the thing. When all of this is said and done, when all the trial and everything begins, which is in May of next year, he ain't getting out. They got some stuff on him. So you industry people can play, dance if you want to. When I went to see Sticky and Sweet tour, Timbaland was there, right? And the night I went and Paul Okafor played music. That was good. Timbaland, Annoying Behind was there. Anyway, let's move on, Chair. And let's talk about Rosie O'Donnell. So we have 2 Rosie O'Donnell stories. Now, speaking of drugs, let's get into her daughter, who was busted for child neglect. And they said that the baby was found near a crack pipe, which I don't think that she was. Somebody actually said that, damn, the people out here still smoking crack. I'm saying probably it was meth because they used meth in the crack pipes. And I automatically knew she was on drugs because, first of all, it's like, look at her skin. Like when you pushing 30 and you got bad acne, a lot of that comes from the drug use. So Rosie O'Donnell is reeling following the arrest of her daughter, Chelsea Bell, who was arrested for child neglect and drug possession after cops reportedly found her 11-month-old son near a meth pipe. Now, according to reports, the common's 27-year-old daughter was charged with 4 felony counts of maintaining a drug trafficking place, child neglect, possession of methamphetamine and THC, which is commonly found in marijuana. Now, court documents also show she was hit with 2 misdemeanors, disorderly conduct / domestic abuse, and possession of illegally obtained prescription drugs. On September 10th, authorities responded to a domestic disturbance and found her Marinette County, Wisconsin home in appalling condition, with filthy dishes, feces, garbage-used diapers, and female hygiene products strewn around. Child, I can imagine what that house smelled like. Rotten tuna and ass. So it also said that more disturbingly, they discovered meth pipes, needles, and a digital scale within easy reach of the ex-talk show host's 11-month-old grandson, prompting Child Protective Services to intervene. Now, Chelsea reportedly battling addiction issues, called law enforcement, to which the 911 operator reported hearing a woman tell someone in the background to get the hell away from her. Once police showed up, she told officers she was having a heated argument with her boyfriend, Jacob Nealon. So Rosie O'Donnell has responded. And hold on, because we have her post. And let's go over to the Instagram. So she said, Chelsea is in the news today. This is a photo from a better time. Here is the family comment. Sadly, this is not new for our family. Chelsea has struggled with drug addiction for a decade. We are all hopeful she will find her way out of this deadly disease. Hashtag heartbroken, hashtag love, hashtag Al-Anon 10/19/24. And then we have people in the comments. Michelle Visage, hey girl. She says, sending you all so much love, Rosie. Excuse me. And then, of course, we have the negative people in the comments that said, this is what pisses me off with this. And this also, I think, was what I was driving to, I believe, yesterday, or it might have been earlier in the show. And it said, yet you serve as a puppet to the very political game that fueled her drug use and started her drug abuse. Let's see. She became a drug addict during whose administration, when drugs were being trafficked freely across the border along with children. But people like you keep voting for the root of the problem. So now here they go with their politics of throwing things in there and saying, oh yeah, it was the Democrats who left the border open and allowed all these drugs to be trafficked. And now there's a huge opioid issue and all this other stuff. And we blame the Democrats because the shit libs and the politicians, they're all evil and blah, 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 blah. And it's like, sir or ma'am or whoever the hell you are, go out and touch the damn grass. Like, to me, it's just like, if you're whoever's having problems and it's a celebrity or whatever, who are you to jump in the comments and make derogatory comments sitting there and trying to make something like this political? And I knew this was coming because of Rosie's stance against Donald Trump. And then somebody also said, you advocate against Christ and wonder why the next generation suffer. Not surprised. And so then they go, great parenting. First of all, she's a grown-ass girl. She was adopted. And even so, we just blame the parents for why kids show up or get caught up in drugs. Like, at the end of the day, I don't know. She said the past decade. And Chelsea is late 20s. So she got caught up in the drugs probably around 19, 20. Probably hanging around the wrong crowd. You know, kids can be rebellious. Kids do experiment. Kids try things. I was a kid once. So yeah, I rebelled. I tried things. I hung out with the right people and I hung out with the wrong people. And I tried different drugs and things. Thank God I didn't get caught up in being a drug addict. But I feel like that we need to show people, you know, regardless of their financial status or situations, a little grace, especially a lot of parents out here who are suffering and whose kids are suffering from drugs. It's the same thing when we ask about, you know, why as adults we have to ask people for grace when it came to what happened with Liam Payne. And here y'all go with this. There was somebody I saw that posted this online and it pissed me off. I think it was somebody that I follow or follows me on social media. I think it was on TikTok. He had the nerve to sit up here and say, oh, well, y'all sit up here. Oh, I showed it was on some social media thing. I don't remember. But he said, oh, I'm a Democrat and I'm dating a Republican. And I showed off my Republican boyfriend and y'all bullying me and stuff in the comments. And you wonder why, you know, Liam Payne did what he did. I was like, so now you trying to sit here and compare your situation to Liam? Get off my line with that. So stop trying to use other people for clout. So yeah, they also went on and said, so for those of you who are not aware, Rosie and her ex-wife Kelly Carpenter adopted Chelsea when she was a baby, raising her until 2015, when a 17-year-old Belle ran away from home, only to be found a week later with her then boyfriend. That year, she moved to Wisconsin to live with her birth mother. Afterwards, O'Donnell was estranged from her daughter until 2018, when they reconnected when Belle was pregnant with her first child. During an appearance on The Talk later that year, O'Donnell opened up about them repairing their relationship, saying that she's doing better now and we're both communicating with each other. When somebody does something unforgivable to you and you can forgive them and they can forgive you, there's a kind of grace that descends upon the both of you within that. So Chelsea was rebelling, like I said. She ran away. She was running around with boys, probably getting caught up in, penis and drugs. Because that's a deadly combination, dick and drugs. And when you 17, when you a teenager, whatever, you think you know every damn thing. You think you're at the center of the universe. You think it's all about you. And, then they, her and Rosie worked things out. And then it was like she moved to Wisconsin to live with her birth mother. Now, who knows what was her birth mother was putting in her ear, what kind of relationship they were having, if she conspired against, because a lot of these kids, when you're adopted, you always think like you live in this fantasy world or whatever in regards of like, oh, what would it be like to be with my birth parent? Or why did you, abandon me or whatever case is? You could be working on your relationship. And I'm sure that people who adopt kids, they have no problem if you want to go find your birth mother or father or both and want to work on a relationship with them. We don't never understand or know why people give up their children. There's many reasons why they do that. And I'm sure it's not easy for a lot of people. There's some, we're not talking about the scumbags who just be like, well, I don't give a fuck. I'm going to just get rid of the baby. I don't want to deal with it, whatever. The cold-hearted moron ones. We ain't talking about y'all. We talking about the ones who really go through the struggles of having to come to that difficult decision. And whatever happened with Chelsea and her birth mother or whatever, that's between them. But I'm sure that whatever was going on with her and Rosie, they tried to work it out, but she may, be a victim of her own demons. Now, the thing that I wonder is this. Rosie, why you ain't go get that baby? I get that is your adopted child, whatever the case is, but in the situation of my adopted child, the person that I adopted and I have whatever over them, I don't know if, what the legalities of it is, but I don't know if that the biological mother is around. I don't know what her relationship is with Chelsea, but I don't know if I would think that would the biological mother have more of a say so in regards of having custody or having any kind of say so with her grandchild, or is it that because legally Chelsea was adopted by Rosie, that Rosie could step in and get custody of the kid? Because the last thing you want is the baby to be caught up in the system because their mother is a junkie, and I don't know where the baby father is. So I got a lot of questions. But so Rosie, I'm not gonna go too hard on you, but I do wonder. I'm like, girl, well, you gonna go and get that baby out the system? So I say all this to say, what do y'all think of this story? This is heartbreaking to hear stuff like this, but let me know what you guys think of this story in the comments down below. Oh, you said, and that's another thing too. Rosie O'Donnell, I really hope that Trump don't get wind of this because, he gonna really come up in here and probably say some mess. But then again, like I said, tread lightly, sir, because you don't want people bringing up your alleged Adderall addiction. And we don't want people bringing up Don Jr.'s booger sugar addiction. So, tread lightly, honey. Oh, yeah. So, Rosie and Trump go way back because I remember when she made fun of him on The View. And he recently did that stupid Arnold Palmer thingy, whatever it was. That recent where he was talking about Arnold Palmer dick size. I'm like, child, first of all, Arnold Palmer didn't even like you. He did not like grifters like Trump. And how you up in there talking about penis size? That's a bit of the last thing you talking about, especially when you can't even see yours over your gut. So them two been going at it for years when she used to mock him on The View, and then they would go back and forth and he would say all kinds of shady mess. Because he hates strong women. But then recently, like he did that thing and he talked about how he wants the show is so bad, The View is so terrible. They need to bring Rosie back. And then they were like, you know what? I'm so glad that you watched the show. Then he tried to act like he didn't know who Alyssa Farrah Griffin was. Sir, she worked for you during your campaign. So how you going to sit there and try to pretend how you, and don't even get me started on Nutmeg McCain. Because this witch had the nerve to get on social media. I forgot to bring her ass up. Nutmeg had the nerve to get on social media talking about she wanted the Democrats to keep her father's name out her mouth and how y'all don't know her father better than his own daughter. And I was like, here we go. This same Nepo baby wide back heifer who wants to sit up in here and use her, who has used her father throughout her career for clout. But then they had this guy that wrote a book on John McCain back in 2018 and was like, I think I know your father. And you don't want me to spill tea on what he thought of you as his child. So tread lightly. He said, you go first. You let us know what he thought of Kamala Harris and all these other people, and then I'll spill tea on what he thought of you as a daughter. Because I'm sure it wasn't some nice things he had to say about your ass. And that old wide back heifer that you married over at the Federalist. Yeah, I did, because it was like, first of all, I wasn't in the mood to be cussing nobody out, and then I have to end up a month in Facebook jail. So I was like, let me just delete it. I mean, I had no drama, because the one thing I don't like is that, here's the thing, we could all have a differences of opinion politically, but when you come up on my page, you start accusing me of being a part of the Klan and all this other stuff. I said, first of all, Ling Ling, your ass ain't even black, so you're not going to get up on there and call me all kinds of racist stuff and say I'm a member of the KKK because you're only a one policy jumper or commentator. You think the only thing that we need to be worrying about is Palestine. Now, y'all already know how I feel on the situation in regards to Palestine and the fact of the matter of how the Democrats have not been hard enough on Netanyahu, and the fact that he's using all of these wars and things as a way to like prolong his trial, because he needs to be put up in trial and thrown in jail alongside Trump. They both need to be. He needs to be stepped down and removed from what he over there doing in Israel. And I'm sure there's a lot of people in Israel, because I've seen the videos, who do not approve of what Netanyahu is doing to the Palestinians. But all you hear from the news, the Western media, is the fact that, oh yeah, I didn't want to go there and be racist, but he part Filipino, and just like I am. So I could say a little Asian stuff against my own people. But I was like, what you're not going to do is sit up in here and call me someone who identifies as black, part of the KKK, because I'm going out and saying stuff about Jill Stein, who don't have a rat's chance in hell of winning. So I feel like y'all just, to me, when I look at people who try to do this third party bullshit, a lot of y'all say that because it's easy for y'all to just hide behind that third party mess so y'all can wipe y'all hands clean of what's going on both sides. And then you can say, Palestine, 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 because it's the fake protesting and all that other stuff. So I was like, I'm not going to sit up here and go back and forth and write full monologues. My fingers are way too precious to sit up here and get arthritis getting into an argument with you. I can use his mouth and say it on this show. It's a lot less energy than me having to strain my fingers or stress out my fingers writing the whole thing trying to talk to you. But that's what he does. And there's been people that have been on my page that have made comments about political stuff who've had to block him because the way he goes in and just really says some real nasty things and calls people and resorts to name calling. That's like, if you don't know how to have a genuine, legitimate conversation with people about politics without you having to call people shit libs or, blue MAGA or make derogatory comments and resort to name calling, to me, I feel like it's lazy. You don't have the vernacular to have a legitimate conversation with people. And it shuts people down. And so there are people that I know that have blocked him. And this is why I say some people just need to stick to the rivers and the lakes that they're good at. So it's like me, I can multitask when it comes to talking about things in politics. I'm more worried about gas prices. I'm worried about rent hikes. I'm worried about like the fact that my generation, millennials and so many others who are struggling to own a home or whatever the case is, that's what a lot of the young people's main focus is. Palestine, yes, that is one of the things, but that is not the only thing. Excuse me, if that's the one that see the damn coffee making me gassy. And that's the one thing you want to focus on? Okay. Well, then you sit up in here and just sit on your damn hands on November. When is voting day? November 4th, November 6th, one of them damn days, and watch the city burn to ash. Then you do that, because then you could be like, oh, well, I'm a Green Party person and I'm voting for Jill Stein because I want the world to change. Well, guess what? As long as you get these two sides in power and these super PACs and all this other stuff is going on, and a lot of y'all don't fight against all these other people, we're going to continue to see the same thing happen over and over and over and over again. Jill Stein ain't fucking winning. So pick a side, pick a struggle. It's either Kamala Harris or Donald Trump. It's one of the two. And if you can't deal with the fact that it's one or the other, then maybe what you need to do is just pack your shit and leave. Because at this point, it's like, what's the alternative? And this is my argument when I have with people who want to sit in both sides everything. Who's the alternative? Because the alternative ain't getting in there. Not at this point. You know, I hate the fact that I have to be a realist in a lot of situations, but sorry, I'm a realist and I see how the world really works because I've lived in it long enough. So I don't see things as black and white, one or the other. I see the gray, and I've always seen things in multicolors. And I can multitask, just like you could multitask by taking multiple dicks in your ass throughout the day and be a cum dump. I can multitask too when I can talk about multiple things at once. See, didn't I tell you? I can say all that verbally. I ain't gotta type it up. And that's why I be telling people, you don't want to try me when it comes to the reading department. You will leave the room in tears. You keep trying me if you want to. And I'll probably cut this shit up and put it on my damn channel separately so you can know I said what the fuck I said. Child ain't gonna be able to monetize this show today. All this cussing I'm doing up in here. But anyway, they said on a Gaga post about her new song, there was someone who said gays for girl bye. And I said, you know, if he wins, he's going to take your rights away. And the guy said, win. I want more than just work. Well, yeah, they don't come with actions because a lot of y'all are short but slow. And y'all don't realize that Project 2025 is real. So if you want to be a gay for Trump, if you want to be a ninja for Trump, if you want to be an idiot or whatever, you can vote for whoever the hell you want to vote for. But just remember, when you see all that stuff that you voted for happen because you want to spite or whatever the reason is, I won't hear nothing. You said I have 3 or 5 issues that Kamala has, and who says I don't? Like, I'm not saying that they're like yelling at you, but I'm just saying like we all have issues with the politicians. My issues with Trump outweighs with Kamala, because first of all, I've been keeping my eye on, like, coming up in New York, we know what type of grifter he is. If the Republicans had a different alternative in regards to who they wanted to run their campaign, then maybe I would look at it a little differently. Y'all just so desperate to cling to power that y'all put that buffoon, y'all want that buffoon to run the country again after he did such a great job 4 years prior to Biden. And to me, it's just like, who is the other alternative? Like, don't get me wrong, I do have my issues with the Democrats. I just said the way that they've kind of just been, the Netanyahu love taps. Like, no, y'all need to pull a Reagan. And remember what he did back in the day? It's like, put the pressure on his ass and tell Netanyahu, you either ceasefire or else. Then I don't feel like they've gone hard enough on him. Even Al Sharpton said this the other day when I was watching him on MSNBC. They're not putting the pressure on him hard enough. But like I also said, we've been in bed with Israel for decades. And so a lot of people try to play it lazy and make it about, it was October 7th. It's been going on longer than that. So don't get me wrong. There's a lot of things that I have issues with when it comes to Donald, Kamala Harris and the whole, and just the Democrats in general, especially how they try to use the old school tactics to continue to hold on to Black people, which I understand the Black people's argument when they talk about, he's, they taking our votes for granted. They expect us to just show up and just support them. But it's like, from what I was hearing, Kamala Harris has been trying to tell them how to go after Black voters. It's not just let's go to the barbershops, let's go to the NAACP. They ain't the only Black people that's out here. Those are them old uppity, bougie Blacks. There's different sides to but we ain't all a monolith. So you got to go a little further than the barbershops and McDonald's and the NAACP and the sororities and the fraternities to reach the other, other Black people, and expecting, they just going to show up. And I didn't like the idea of just only going at black men. If y'all need to go after people, you should be going after Latinos too, who seems like a lot of them want to vote for Trump. But he just showed his ass when he was on Telemundo. And especially when they're talking to undecided voters, they were sitting there talking about the whole eating the dogs thing. Oh, that was just something I heard. That's your answer? And then he was just over in the Bronx talking to them damn fools about no shade to the, maybe I shouldn't say damn fools. I'll take that back. Talking to the people about the education system, talking about we don't need the Department of Education, which basically is saying that when he gets in office, y'all better say goodbye to that shit. The educational system in this country is already trash. So can you imagine we're going to be really at the bottom of the damn totem pole? I am so glad I grew up in the time I did. And I got to get the high education that I was able to get at the time, especially in the public school system. I had great teachers. Luckily, I had great teachers. I feel for this new generation and the way that the educational system and what it's become. And then we have so many idiots in this country running the government. And you want this dumb idiot back in office? Anyway, let me get off my soapbox. Because I be hating when people try to underestimate, acting like I don't know what the hell I'm talking about. It's like I pay attention. I'm not just a one topic person that I'm just going to get angry about. Because it was Palestine and Israel, that whole conflict is the line that I draw where I'm just not going to vote. Or this person is evil. But what about all the mass shootings we've had in America? What about all the people here? Can we clean up our own shit before we worry about what's going on over there? But don't get me wrong, I'm still pissed off that y'all taking my damn tax-paying dollars and paying to drop bombs over in Baghdad. I don't know why I was thinking about. Oh, I know why I was thinking of Baghdad. I was thinking of Outkast. I was having bombs over Baghdad thing, and it just worked with the moment. But anyway, y'all know what I mean. I don't know that y'all using my tax-paying dollars for that. But can we start worrying about our own stuff, the infrastructure, the border? The fact that I'm always having anxiety every time I go to the store to buy groceries. Like, can we worry about the stuff here? The fact that my rent keep going up every damn year? Can we worry about that? And the fact that I be having to cuss out these damn landlords when they be trying me with the money? So, can we worry about that before we worry about what's going on in other countries? Can we do that, please? Like, let's get up our own stuff before we worry about overseas. And that's always been the thing with our country. We tend to worry about everything that's going on overseas than we do here. You said, however, I side-eyed Kamala for her rejecting the Jesus is King protest. What did hurt? That did hurt. Wait, Jesus is King? What is that? We talking about sky daddies and stuff? Oh, child, don't even get me started on Lady G. I saw that. He thought, what's wrong with you? I said, Queen, bye. Child, I wouldn't be surprised if you was at one of them old Diddy parties. But yeah, you said the Jesus King protest. Oh yeah, but I did like that little quick wit that she said, which said, oh yeah, I think y'all at the wrong rally. Y'all should be at the one down the street. So that was a cackle. She don't hate Jesus. I mean, look. And what's wrong with people saying that they don't believe what other people believe in religion? Like Catholicism and the Catholic faith, all that stuff, Christianity is not the end all be all of everyone's existence. There's a lot of people that don't believe in God or don't follow the teachings of Christ. And especially with all that tea that I told y'all that came out, how they was, the Catholic Church has spent over $1 billion settling money over the fact of them abusing young boys and stuff since the 40s. We talked about that on the show. But I know Trump ain't talking about God and how she hates Jesus when you out here selling Bibles. And last time I checked, Bibles was free. You could steal one from a hotel. I've done that before. But anyway, let's move on. Let me get out this political thing because I realize when I talk politics, I get mad, I get tight, and then, the show goes longer than it needs to. So we have another Rosie O'Donnell story, and let's, lighten up the load because, I was feeling a little, what do you call it? I was feeling, I was like, let's just lighten up the load with the Rosie O'Donnell. I forgot what I was going to say, but yeah, let's talk about Miss Rosie. who went to, she is a Broadway girl. She loves the theater. I mean, if you've ever seen the Rosie O'Donnell show, she was one of the, is it safe to say she was the first person, I would say, in daytime that literally brought theater to daytime TV? Like, she used her show as a way to highlight and showcase a lot of Broadway shows. I don't remember any other show that was doing that. But I believe that Rosie O'Donnell was the first daytime talk show. And that's why back in the day when I used to love watching her show with the Koch balls, and she used to have everybody from the Backstreet Boys and Britney Spears and Pink and Aaliyah and so many other people that came on her show back in the day. And then also, brought out a lot of theater tropes and pretty much helped the economy in regards of like the theater. So she went to go see Sunset Boulevard, which I've been hearing is getting rave reviews. I definitely want to get a ticket to see this movie. I definitely want to get a ticket to see this show on Broadway, especially because I like Nicole Scherzinger. A lot of people like to talk a lot of mess about Nicole, but I like her. I've liked her when she was in, the Pussycat Dolls. I liked her solo stuff. Justice for, her solo debut album. I feel like a lot of people didn't give that album its just due. I liked all the stuff she did with Red One, and all that other stuff. I still bump her debut album. So shout out to Nicole. But at her age, I believe she's 45 or 46. She's having a resurgence in her career. She left she was on The Masked Singer for a couple of years, and then she left The Masked Singer, and now she's, she was on doing Sunset Boulevard on the West End. Now it's over here in the United States, over on Broadway, and it's getting rave reviews. I heard that she got like a 10-minute standing ovation, and Rosie O'Donnell went to go see the show and went on her TikTok and said the following. Please hold.
Okay, everybody, I just left Sunset Boulevard on Broadway, and Nicole Scherzinger, I don't know how you say her last name, but she's on The Masked Singer, which I haven't seen that much. I don't think I really knew who she was before this. That was the best performance I've ever seen on a Broadway stage in the last 15 years. I can't believe, I started to cry when I met her backstage. Imagine having that much talent and never getting a chance to have a venue like this until this time in her life. Now, she is gorgeous. She has a most amazing voice. She moves beautifully. She can act. She was riveting, absolutely riveting. And when I went backstage, I started to cry like an idiot. I was like, I don't even know what to say to you, and she was lovely, and she's doing this until July, and people go see this. It is a stripped down, modernized kind of version with playbacks and videos, and everyone in the cast was outstanding. The guy who is the leading man, the two of them, this is like historic Broadway. Right here is happening. It's not open yet. It's opening soon. This was previews. 2 standing ovations during the show. After 2 of her big songs, people stood up. A lot of people, including me. It was amazing. I can't explain how much I loved it.
Okay, because that video goes on for 8 minutes, so I don't want to play the whole thing. But if y'all want to see the whole full 8-minute video, y'all can definitely go over to her TikTok, and you pretty much got the gist. And yeah, I forgot it is in previews. I think it starts officially next month because I did get the alert. Because I do go to a lot of Broadway shows. It's been a while since I've been to one, but yeah, I want to start making the rounds and going to see a lot of Broadway shows. This is one of them, and I forgot that I wanted to get a ticket to go see the show that's in previews. So I'm definitely going to try to see this show by the end of the year, if not sometime next year. But it's good to know, like 9 months, she's going to be around. She's going to be doing the show, and I'm really excited to see this. There's another show that I want to see as well. Adam Lambert is in Cabaret. I definitely want to see him before he leaves. I don't know how long he's going to be doing that, but I need to do the research and get some tickets and go and check it out. I also heard that they're bringing Smash. Remember that show back in the day with Megan Hilty that was on NBC? And what the hell is it? Speaking of American Idol, because we're talking about Adam Lambert, Catherine McPhee. Remember when they were on that show? That show Smash that used to come on NBC, they're bringing that to Broadway. So that should be interesting. I don't know if I necessarily want to see that, but I've always felt like Smash would have worked better on Broadway than it did on television. And also, Miss Mamas from Will and Grace was in that show. So I definitely want to check that out. Plus, they're bringing Dirty Dancing to Broadway. So I'm like, okay, now y'all know, or maybe you don't know, I absolutely love Dirty Dancing with Patrick Swayze and Jennifer Grey. That was like one of my all-time favorite movies when I was a kid growing up. I remember when I was real little, when I saw that, I was just like, I want to be up in there doing the shaking my shinny and doing all that other stuff. Letting my, feeling my oats. I definitely love that. So I'm definitely curious to see how they're gonna bring that to life. So Broadway sounds like it's really lit. It's gonna be interesting. And also, I think like next year's Tonys is gonna be lit, because I could definitely see, based off of the rave reviews, that Nicole Scherzinger is definitely going to get a lot of Tony nominations. I think Sunset Boulevard is going to clean up with a lot of Tony nominations, and I do believe that Nicole, as she called her, Scherzinger, which I think a lot of people say her name like that. But yeah, and I could definitely see her winning a Best Actress Tony or whatever, category. But one of the things I am curious about is I'm glad that she's finally getting her just due, because I've always like I said, I've always liked Nicole Scherzinger. I don't understand why people hated her. I think maybe the reason why they didn't like her is because of, all the drama that was going on behind the scenes that we've seen. There's been so many videos and breakdowns and citations and theses, on YouTube of the whole Pussycat Dolls drama, and the way that Robin Anton set the whole thing up, where Nicole Scherzinger was the lead girl, and you had all these other girls that was behind her that was supposed to be the backup dancers and stuff, but Nicole's voice was the prominent one. She was the one singing all the backup stuff. And then you had Melody, but no shade. Melody was not the best vocally. I mean, Miss Things, a certain part you was pitchy and certain parts you was sharp. And she was probably doing that because she got tired of the behind the scenes shenanigans that a lot of them were pulling on the show. But is that Nicole's fault, or is that the fault of the people behind the scenes that were pulling the strings? Because we hear so many stories regarding the reason, that you get a lot of people that pull like little shady stunts and this, that, and the other behind the scenes to cause rifts between groups, be it boy bands, girl groups, whatever the case is. It's a tale as old as time. And maybe Nicole's ego played into a lot of certain things, that she act like her shit didn't stink. Who knows? I wasn't there. So, maybe all this time with her being in her mid-40s, she understands what matters, and she's evolved, and she's changed, and she's matured, and she realizes what's more important. And maybe the pop world isn't where she belongs. Maybe she thrives better on Broadway and in the theater, because they appreciate y'all. And I feel like that Broadway people are the most underappreciated. They work so hard. They do 8 shows a week. They put so much on their, their bodies and their voice and all this other stuff. And they don't, in my opinion, get the love and the respect that they deserve. So I'm glad that she's getting her just due. But people had to go and tell Rosie who she is. She was in the Pussycat Dolls. And yeah, they said that they released a string of successful hits throughout the 2000s. They called the aughts, including 4 top 10 hits: Don't Ya, Stick With You, Buttons, and When I Grow Up. And then I could definitely see that she was brought to tears and all this other stuff. And yeah, I just feel like based off of her comments, I'm definitely looking forward to seeing this, and I'm definitely going to go check this out. And they said that in regards of the show, in regards of, Sunset Boulevard, because she plays Norma Desmond, she follows in the footsteps of Glenn Close and Patti LuPone, both of whom played Desmond on stage in prior iterations of Sunset Boulevard, with Close winning the Tony for Best Actress in a Musical. And if y'all remember that story, Patti LuPone came out on Watch What Happens Live and told that story, that she was mad at Glenn Close over her getting that part and how she won the Tony and all this other stuff. And then she said that they ran into each other and she realized that she was being a complete and utter bitch, and she apologized. But she ain't apologizing to Madonna. So we're gonna be waiting. It'll be a cold day in hell before she do that. But I think, it wasn't I don't think it was Watch What Happens Live. It was Hot Ones. That's what she was on with old girl from Agatha All Along, because they're both on the show. Orby Plaza. So that's what it was. So I say all this to say, I'm definitely, like I said, I'm not, it's funny because I'll talk about it like on the show, like I'm not a movie musical guy. Like, I so don't care about Wicked when that comes out. And I heard Wicked, the first part is at almost 3 hours. I said, y'all out your damn mind. If you think I'm gonna sit up in there watching some singing and dancing for some damn near 3 hours. And we about to get into Ariana Grande after this. So speaking of which. And so I'm like, I don't care about movie musicals. Like, they never really moved me in that way. But if I go and watch theater, if I go to Broadway, bitch, when I tell you my emotions, I'll be going through it. It definitely gives me my life. So I say all this to say, what do y'all think of this story? Are you guys looking to go now based off of this recommendation? Are you guys interested in going to see Nicole Scherzinger on Broadway in Sunset Boulevard? Whatever your thoughts are, let me know in the comments down below. Okay, you said Queen of Koch balls. Oh, child. And it was like, you was up in there talking about you love Tom Cruise. I was like, child, you only knew. That's a good question. After all that, it's like, do you think she still like Tom Cruise, even with all the tea that came out about him over the years with the Scientology and stuff? And sidebar, speaking of Tom Cruise, his ex Nicole Kidman has this new movie coming out where it's like they said it's heavy on the sex, and I was sitting there like, now I wonder if I didn't want to go there, but I was like, you think that she had more chemistry with this actor than she did with Tom Cruise in Eyes Wide Shut? And they were married. So it kind of makes me wonder. He said, I think with Madonna, it's Andrew denying Patty is Evita and not a good person and a person who should be fired from the community. Patty is grateful that Andrew didn't have his way. And yeah, because Patty LuPone was someone who was very outspoken. Like, her and Madonna are very much divas. Okay, so like we said, now speaking of which, let's get into Miss Ariana Grande, who is being dragged for being rude to Elvira, the mistress of the dark, the queen of Halloween. Like, how dare you? So Ariana Grande has issued an apology after the mistress of the dark herself, Elvira, aka Cassandra Peterson, called a thank you next singer her worst celebrity encounter. And it's funny how, like, I am not surprised. So the queen of Halloween went and posted something on her social media. This is how I found out about it. So she went on social media, posted something on her Instagram, which had Ariana drop down in the comments. So it says, fans shocked by Ariana Grande's audacity after Halloween queen Elvira details disrespectful encounter. And said, story time, context is everything. Swipe right. I'm back at Not Scary Farm tonight for the Yours Cruelly. Or that's iconic. Yours Cruelly. I love that. Elvira experience. Q&A, autograph signing. See you there. And with Elvira being the queen of Halloween, like Mariah Carey with Christmas, Halloween is definitely a time where Cassandra Peterson makes her coins because, as somebody who is a child of the 80s, I grew up watching Elvira. Elvira Mistress of the Dark. I love that movie. Like, where you think that line comes from was like, how's your head? I've never had any complaints. Like, that comes from Elvira. So I just love like that sense of humor she always had. Like, it was double entendres. There was always like this dirty, filthy, sexual innuendo type stuff. So she played like this gothic airhead, and I lived for it. Like, Cassandra, like, Elvira was that girl. So the article says spooky season legend Elvira, Mistress of the Dark, recently gave fans behind-the-scenes access to her illustrious career, participating in a Q&A session at Knott's Scary Farm, the seasonal Halloween event at Knott's Berry Farm in Buena Park, California, on October 18th. Now, during the conversation, Elvira was asked about some of her experiences meeting celebrities, and after someone in the audience shouted out Ariana Grande. Damn, did y'all automatically know that y'all wanted to go in on her? 30, damn near 30 years old, talking like she 12. Like, I don't get that either. That little voice thing that she does, that shit irritates me. Like, sis, you are not Michelet. Where Michelet has that powerful voice, and when she talks, she sounds like she 5. Like, you be putting on that voice. Michelet talk like how she talk. Now, it said during the conversation, Elvira was asked about some of her experiences meeting celebrities, and after the audience shouted out Ariana Grande, she held nothing back as she explained what happened when she met the Thank You Next songstress. Elvira shared that Grande went to one of her events and she brought 20 guests. So she wanted 21 tickets. And we gave her the ticket, she began. She comes backstage and she asked if I could take pictures with all of her friends and relatives she brought. The story continued with Elvira saying that she took a picture with every single one of them. I signed autographs for every single one of them. Then I say to her, can we take a photo together? And she goes, no, I don't really do that. Bitch. Now, you would have got cussed out. But she's a class act, so I don't think she would have did that. But she said at that point in the Q&A, the audience began to boo at Grande's dismissal of Elvira. The boos continued when she told them that Grande left before my show started and all the relatives stayed. Another person on the panel then quipped that the singer is playing the wrong witch, referring to her upcoming role as Glinda the Good Witch in the film version of Broadway musical Wicked. Yeah, they said her ass should have played Elphaba, not Glinda. Now, a fan account posted a conversation on TikTok and commenters were quick to voice their opinions. But back to the Elvira drama. So not all fans believe the Halloween Queen story and rushed to defend Grande. And well, of course, you don't have to believe it. And they said the way Ariana never denies a picture, that seems fishy. Like what? Wrote one fan, while another said, I'm not buying it. Well, how do you go on and devalue someone's experience? Because you feel that they've never denied a photo. How do you know? Are you her publicist? Are you in her team? Do you know when she does or does not? And just because something is on camera doesn't always make it so. There are a lot of situations that are behind the scenes that y'all don't know about. So Moore wrote that in to say that the whole thing seems suspicious as that doesn't seem like her. Well, looks can be deceiving, and perception is everything. Ariana has always said yes to pics with paparazzi and fans. Is this like for real? Because when does Ariana not take a picture with someone? Well, she told you. She didn't take a picture with her. So how'd you go up and say, well, when did she take the picture? This sounds suspicious. Well, she didn't take the picture with Cassandra. She didn't take the picture with Elvira. Therefore, there is your answer. So I don't understand, like people say, well, when did she not do it? I'm telling you, she didn't do it. The fuck? Others gave reasons for why the interaction may have played out that way, said, I feel like Ari took her friends and family as a gift or something, and she didn't want to take pictures at the time. But if they were all running around taking individual photos, you can't sit up there and say, oh, I'm not going to take a picture. I'm doing you a solid. I'm nice enough to give you 21 tickets that you probably didn't pay for. And your whole family and everything was up in there. She said if she didn't want people to know she was there for some reason, maybe it was a misunderstanding. They were backstage. They were not in the audience where people could look and see Ariana Grande. They were backstage. I just love how y'all don't pay attention when people talk. Y'all be so quick to read a clip, a moment, a sentence, and run with a narrative that y'all just like to pull out your ass. Now, there's no reason why Cassandra Peterson, Mistress of the Dark, Queen of Halloween, would need to lie on Ariana Grande of all people. Why would she choose that name of all people to just spread a lie about? I'll wait. And so someone said this happened in 2016 after her literal concert was bombed. She literally had an anxiety attack. Let's get over it. Because Ariana Grande did come out in the thing. And I want to see if I could find her comment, because she did comment in the comments. But I don't see it in there. But I do have it. Because I was like, if I can't find it. So she said, if I'm misremembering this moment, I sincerely apologize for offending you so. Thank you for being so nice to my mom. She told me how lovely you were. She might have different feelings about that now, but I'll talk to her. Clearly, we all have our days. Oh, so you're trying to say, look, she didn't deny what was stated. She said, oh, her mother might have different feelings about it now because Elvira told her experience. She didn't say your parents or your mother and and all the 19 other people that you brought with you were an issue. She said you were. That you were rude. And for y'all to sit up in here and say, oh, well, it was because of the bombing that happened earlier this year. Okay, and I don't want to sound cold and heartless, but if you having that many issues of anxiety and things, especially if your concert just got bombed in the UK, then why is your ass out at Knott's Berry Farm? What the hell was you doing there then? Because my thing was, if I'm stressed out about something, I ain't showing up in no public. I'm gonna just have my team deal with it and be like, can you get tickets for such and such and such and such and such? or I'll show up for a second just to make sure that everything is copacetic, but I'm gonna go about my business. But it doesn't hurt to take 5 seconds out of your day to take a picture with someone who your mother admires or whatever the case is. But there's been many stories that's come out about how rude and nasty Ariana Grande is. So let's not act like this is her first time at the damn rodeo where she's been rude. Now, any other time I would give grace, but no, you don't get a pass with certain things. You don't get a pass for just being rude and nasty to things. And I see like now she's trying to rehabilitate. I feel like she's trying to use this wicked thing to rehabilitate her image. But Ariana has a habit of sticking her damn foot in her mouth with stuff. And I get that she has all her fans, whatever. I don't give a damn. I'm not someone who is radicalized and into this whole stan culture thing. I'm not caught up in the matrix. I live in the real world. But it don't matter who it is and at what situation. You don't run around being rude and disrespectful and nasty to people. So to wrap this up, and I did see that a lot of people in the comments seem to be kind of like just nasty with, they said, was rent past due? Hope you got the attention you wanted. Grow up, Ma. This was a decade ago. So now y'all sitting up here telling people how to react to things or to make comments about things, especially when people are using this as a weight of conversation. So now you got the trolls or the Arianators, whatever stupid ass name y'all call yourselves, jumping in the comments. Somebody said, I find it humorous. People are trying to defend Ari. Honey, this is Elvira. The woman has been hustling for decades without any scandal. Elvira wouldn't make a story up just for clout, as she doesn't need it, and B, she really doesn't care. And this is what I don't understand when people like everything with y'all. Anytime somebody says something about y'all fave, it's always, and this is how I know how lazy and slow and short but slow a lot of y'all are, because y'all can't sit and believe that there are people in the industry that are assholes. I just heard some tea from, and they wouldn't tell me who it was, that when I was talking to my business agent yesterday about, you know, some of the people that work the VMAs on how the celebrities was looking down at them that were working the event. So for y'all to sit up in here and act like that celebrities don't act like that people are beneath them, that are rude and disrespectful, that believe their own hype, that act like they shit don't stink, it happens a lot. And that goes to show y'all not around enough celebrities. I've been around enough of these celebrities to know exactly how they are, so I don't put nothing past Ariana Grande doing the behavior that she's accused of. But like she said, she apologized and gave her little snide comment to my mother might feel differently because you said what you said about me and my experience overall, me being rude and disrespectful. Like, why is it so hard to believe that your fave could be a bitch from any side, a male, female, whatever? That the people that a lot of y'all look up to, that you like their music, you don't know these people personally. Because you listen to their music and you see them on a TV screen in a movie, you think that's them, that you know them, every aspect of who they are, or reality show. When you see these people on there and it's literally hours of recorded footage judged down to a 40-minute episode, you think you know these people that y'all be looking at? You don't. So why is it so hard to believe that Elvira, who doesn't have any issues, has no reason to clout chase? Because she's been famous for almost 4 decades. That she doesn't need the clout to get from a damn Ariana Grande. Fuck out of here. So I say all this to say, what do y'all think? Whatever y'all thoughts are, let me know in the comments down below. I just get so irritated. The reason why I go hard or whatever is I just get so damn irritated with these radicalized, brainwashed fans that think they know every goddamn thing. When the only glimpse y'all have of these celebrities is on TikTok and fucking Instagram. And y'all think y'all know these damn people. So watch suitable flesh on. The last Shutter thing I watched was Dragula last night. And that was because, with Dragula, who was it that was on there? Oh, now I gotta wait till next week to find out who was exterminated. The challenge with the bottom 2 monsters had to be electrocuted. So we're going to find out next week until who was fully electrocuted. So what we saw was a skeleton. Unless I wasn't paying attention, they reveal who it was. But you say you don't treat an icon exactly, and I guess the reason the people that are defending Ariana Grande has no attachment to an Elvira. They don't really know Elvira like that. They didn't grow up with Elvira. So to me, it just goes to show there's probably a generational gap there where the people that love Ariana Grande are clearly going to go up in the comments and defend her and then gaslight and dog Elvira. She don't need what she need the clout for? It's Starbucks should sue Ariana Grande for her government last. Okay, because I always call her Ariana Grande Frappuccino. And you said trying to blame her behavior on anxiety was like when Roseanne trying to blame her racism on Ambien. Okay, and that was like, oh, I was really anxious. Well, well, here's the thing. I get anxiety. I've been anxious in a lot of public situations. I don't go cursing people out and being disrespectful and being rude. I've never done that. Like, if people ask me, in situations, I always have to tell myself, it's like, okay, if I'm in this setting, I have to psych myself out loud. Like, look, I'm in a public place. I can't be disrespectful. I can't be rude. I can't be doing these things. You can't be running around just trying to use, that as an excuse. Anxiety is not an excuse for being, oh, I'm feeling anxious. I can't take a picture. It's like, girl, get off my line. I like a few Ariana songs, but I think she's trying to project a good girl image. Yet child, don't even give me started on that. And that I see some people brought that up in the comments. It's like, okay, you out here wrecking people's homes, licking donuts, being that, like, this ain't the first time Ariana Grande has come across as being a bitch. And the things that she's done, and it ain't the first time she wrecked a home too. Do I need to bringing up the whole thing between the late Naya Rivera and Big Sean and that whole situation? Like, I don't need to keep bringing that up. But her hands ain't clean. She messy. And then recently did a thing with Cynthia Erivo were defending her and the whole thing, blaming, AI and all this other stuff on this mess that's coming on with the doctored footage or whatever. What is it? The cover, the fan art that was made because somebody wanted to make it similar to the original poster for Broadway, and people was getting, and Cynthia got mad, and it's like, girl, it's not that serious. The way that they were looking at it, because they were looking at it like, oh, I don't like this thing of you looking us in the eye. Like, you wasn't really giving much of anything. It was like, okay, I'm gonna just stare at you in the eyes. It's like, that's, first of all, you looking a little creepy with the eye pop. Like, you giving Wendy Williams eye pop with the way you staring at the screen. Like, I don't understand what this is supposed to project. And it wasn't like giving what needed to be given. So what you thought it was given, it wasn't given. But which is why some of the fans came in and was just like, they want to come in and change it. So they were looking at it from that point. But I feel like she was at her wit's end. She used that as an excuse as to why she wanted to go in on the fandom when you should have been getting mad over the fact when people asked, is your pussy green? Because that's what the tea was, that's what she was mad about. She was mad about the fact that people were saying, is your pussy green because of the green paint. That is disrespectful. I will go in on them over that. Or don't even answer them because these trolls like the attention. Let the media people handle all of that or whatever. And then there was like artwork of her and Ariana Grande, like Elphaba and Glinda fighting. So there were people creating all kinds of narratives. And I'm sure that's what she was mad about. And that's what you should have addressed versus going in on this harmless piece of art. That's why people was looking at her crazy. So that is kind of rude when you ask somebody. But I understand like all the undertones of like racism and all, so which that does play into that because everybody but they woke crap and all that mess that's been coming out. I understand all of that is valid, but I just felt like she just didn't know when to come in and inform her complaint. And you said she made it seem like it was the worst. Exactly. But yeah, when she made that comment, it was the worst thing. I was like, girl, if this is the worst thing that you've ever had to witness or been a part of, then you need to go out and touch some damn grass. Because I don't understand how, and I know she's on, child, another thing, she's on the cover of Out magazine. I just got mine in the mail last night. There's an Out 100, which is weird. I have not subscribed. I will tell you, I'm not subscribed to Out in years. Like, I don't pay them money or nothing. They send it to me in the mail. But I guess because I've been an Out subscriber when I was like for 20 some odd years, They just be sending it. And every time I move, they find my ass and they send me the box. Because when you send in your permanent address, they send me, like, I still get the physical copies. Anyway. Okay, so, all right. So now let's get into some Monsters news. So Ryan Murphy, word on the curb, is that he said to make more Monsters episodes. And, you know, with all the controversy that was surrounding all of that, you know, a lot of people didn't really like his Monster series. They felt like he fabricated a lot of the stuff, that he sensationalized certain things. People didn't like the idea that he seemed to have hyped up the fact that the brothers could have been lovers, that there was some type of incestuous type of relationship that they may have had. But I feel like what he was doing and probably didn't execute it properly was the fact that he was taking a lot of the inspiration that he took from a lot of other books and was incorporating it into, you know, the series, and people weren't picking up what he was putting down. So that's why I think it threw a lot of people off in a lot of ways when they were talking about this. And it's funny because I found it quite hilarious that he got Travis Kelce on Grotesquerie, which I did say he's not a bad actor. Like when I was watching, I was like, okay, Travis, I see you. You definitely, I was gonna say who's a really good actor? Ryan Gosling, but you can read some lines and you charismatic and it's giving what needs to be given. I mean, he's a way better actor than Kim Kardashian, quiet as it's kept. But you know, for the most part, he was doing his thing over there on Grotesquerie. So shout out to him. But with this whole situation, I was sitting up here like, yeah, I did have my issues. And so the point I was trying to make. So I was like, it's funny how Ryan Murphy can make a bunch of damn calls over there to Taylor Swift people to try to get her in something, but you couldn't pick up the phone or go pay a visit to the Menendez brothers to tell their story and run out here with this little narrative that you got people out here believing, which I'm more or less into the documentary thing, but I get like when you want to watch things with acting and sets and all, and the breakdown of all the other things, that gets people like interested in wanting to watch the series. But you also have a responsibility of realizing that when people watch these shows, they're thinking that it's fact based off of things that you may have acquired from documentaries. But no, shows are sensationalized to make things look more grandiose than they already are, which is why a lot of times you got to take Ryan Murphy's stuff with a grain of salt. Especially when that, what was it, American Horror Story 1984, he had Richard Ramirez up in there, a real life serial killer. And it's like, why are you trying to rip off Friday the 13th and you putting this notorious serial killer up in your stuff? So the Menendez brothers, they said, have been serving sentences for killing their parents, which has been over 35 years, I believe. Was Jose and Kitty. Now, new evidence could prove that former, the parent, Jose, molested his kids, which is also suggested in the series. The 9-episode show has been credited by many for helping draw attention to the pair's conviction. And, this is what we got in on Ryan because he was getting all arrogant about it. So regardless of how you feel about him, the one positive I always said that I could take from this is the fact that he brings attention he brought attention to the case, and the fact that there's a possibility that the case now will be reopened because everybody's talking about it. It's a hot button topic. And when it comes to these type of attorneys and things, they want that real juicy, story or case that's going to catapult them to fame or, infamy or whatever it is that you want to do. So I could definitely see why they're jumping on this and striking while the iron's hot. So Murphy said, Ian and I are absolutely in amazement and shock that this has happened, to be quite honest. When we were writing the Menendez story, we've been working on this for 2 years. Nobody was talking about the Menendez brothers. We never thought anybody ever would again. The LA District Attorney George Gascon recently shared a screenshot of a letter Eric wrote to his cousin, Andy Cano, 8 months before he helped kill his parents. So I do have the letter. Please hold. So there's the letter there. And he said, I've been trying to avoid Dad. It's still happening, Andy, but it's worse for me now. I never know when it's going to happen, and it's driving me crazy. Every night I stay up thinking he might come in. I need to put it out of my mind. I know what you said before, but I'm afraid. You just don't know Dad like I do. He's crazy. He added, he's warned me 100 times about telling anyone, especially Lyle. Am I a serious wimpus? I don't know. I'll make it through this. I can handle it. Andy, I need to stop thinking about it. And then it said, if freed based on his revelation, Murphy said that new episodes have been discussed. I'll tell you that much. And saying that everyone has been interested in that. I think everyone wants to see how this story ends because this story is not over. Well, yeah, that's also, that may be great and all, but you already know, like, members of the Menendez family are pretty much upset over the way that Ryan Murphy has handled this story. They've said there was a lot of inaccuracies. They've even pointed out the inaccuracies. And we've even seen members of the family who have been in the media as of late fighting hard to try to get the brothers released. And I feel like at this point, over 3 decades, time served is perfect. They need to just be released. They can, time served, let them move on and figure out how they're going to navigate in the world post, prison. And I'm sure that he'll bring back the 2 actors that played the brothers. Cooper Koch's career is pretty much the talk of the town now because he was the breakout star. The other one that played Lyle, I know he's on Grotesquerie playing a weird ass priest with a lot of holes in his back. But yeah, so he's in that and all of and all that other stuff. But yeah, Cooper Koch is the one that's being the talk of the town. He's wound up on a lot of interviews. He's been talking a lot and promoting this movie. We do have a story about him later on in the show. But yeah, so he's getting a lot of attention right now. So while I'm just like, here he go, trying to grift and get an opportunity to just try to piggyback off of this thing. I don't know how the family would feel. I mean, they're already pissed off about the whole regular 9-episode series. So for him to come back and do possibly a 3 to 6 episode follow-up, I don't know how many episodes would be required. Like, what story can you tell? I guess maybe, I guess maybe he could do like a sort of, what is it, movie within a movie? Where there's like, the American Crime Story thing comes up. You get actors, very meta like Scream. Whereas like, when they had Scream 2, we had Tori Spelling play Sydney. And then we had Luke Wilson play Billy Loomis. I don't think they had somebody that played Gail. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. But anyway, so when it comes to this, I was sitting there thinking like they could do a movie within a movie. So you have the American Crime Story thing. You age up the actors that played Lyle and Eric. And then it's sort of like you're playing this whole thing of the trial and everything that happened with that. And then I guess maybe they'll get somebody to play Ryan Murphy. And then basically you're showing them getting out of jail and that sort of thing, the retrial and all that stuff. But at this point, we even need a series because with social media and the way that works now, I feel like all of this will be happening in real time. And I don't think anybody's going to want to see a scripted version of this, especially because this story happened in the 80s. The murders happened in the 80s. They didn't get tried into the mid-90s and that sort of thing. I mean, a couple of years later. And even though they stayed in jail while both trials happened. And to me, I feel like at this point, with social media and TikTok and all this other stuff, I feel like with it happening in real time, we don't need a series or whatever for us to see how this all breaks down. Because like I said before, back in the 80s and 90s, we didn't have internet and the things the way that we do now. So people are getting their information from something that happened 30-something odd years ago through a different lens. But now that we're in a social media driven society, I don't feel like we need Ryan Murphy to script something like this, especially with the controversy around the family not liking what he came up with, because you didn't even contact them. You just took it upon yourself to make a series based on them. And I get it. Like, you feel like, well, they should be grateful because you brought this to the light and now this is an opportunity for you to be freed. Especially with the work that, Cooper Koch meeting the brother in prison, then Kim Kardashian, putting in her stuff, and then Rosie O'Donnell. So, so now they also said that, so with all of that being said, I should tell you that, in the meantime, so while we don't have wherewithal of when this may happen or if it may happen at all, Ryan Murphy's next installment in the Monster series is actually going to cover the life of serial killer Ed Gein, which we have a casting for some of the characters so far. So Charlie Hunnam, as y'all probably already know, is going to play Ed Gein. Laurie Metcalf, speaking of Scream 2, is going to play Augusta Gein, who is Ed's mother, who was a crazy Christian woman who I think he was obsessed with his mother and would murder women and wanted them to look exactly like her. So I forget what the whole story. Like they had it based off Texas Chainsaw Massacre, Psycho, a bunch of other movies. So he was obsessed with his mother. So a lot of that influence came from Ed Gein and the crimes. And so they have Tom Hollander is going to play Alfred Hitchcock, and Olivia Williams is going to play Alma Reville, who is Hitchcock's wife. So those are the characters that they have so far for the Ed Gein series that's supposed to be coming up next with Ryan Murphy. So I say all this to say, what do y'all think of this story? Would y'all be here for Ryan Murphy taking on the Menendez series again? Whatever your thoughts are, let me know in the comments down below. Okay, so you said you're welcome for the inbox photo. Martha better watch her back because Snoop will go. But look, she out here cheating on her ex-husband and said it would be fun if Kylie and Snoop did something together. I remember he featured, look, Snoop will show up at an envelope open at this point, so she might as well maybe do a collaboration. But I actually like the fact that Kylie is not out here collaborating with a lot of people. Like she'll collaborate with a couple of pop singers or whatever, but for the most part, when you listen to Attention to, which I still will go and say this is what Attention 1 should have been. I like that it's far more cohesive. It is short or whatever, but it's a get in, get out record, and it definitely gives me my life. And definitely, I've had that album on repeat since it dropped on Friday. I will say that I'm living for the fact that, you know, she's keeping it simple. It's just literally mostly on that record, her, except the song at the end that she has tacked on there. But everything else is just like there's no collaboration. She's collaborated with a bunch of people, but she's kept it just simply her. And that's why I prefer it. I think Madonna needs to go back to that. I'm tired of her with the duets. It's like, girl, you are not a duets artist. I mean, you could duet with some people, but that's just been you've been heavily into that lately. He said, I'm thinking he's waiting to see if they get released because he might try to involve them in it. Well, we'll see. But because, you know, they're already pissed off about it. So I guess maybe that'll be sort of like the compromise. I would hope so. Okay, so let's get into the Shakira story. Oh wait, hold on, because that was the other thing. She's headlining World Pride, and we'll get into that. But she postponed her North American tour to upgrade from arenas to stadiums, and the people is mad. So fans were left disappointed when Shakira recently announced that she will be postponing the North American leg of her La Mujeres Ya No Lloran. Women don't cry anymore. That's what it stands for in English. You know what I was thinking of? I was thinking of Supreme or Supreme from España, which goes Y no la cares. I don't love the way she says that, which basically is like, don't fuck it up. So, you know, so it basically was like tour, you know, next year she was supposed to do a tour. So basically they could upgrade from arenas to stadiums. Now, not only was I pissed the first time, because here's the thing, she wasn't even doing the Garden. She was doing tight ass Barclays Center. And I was already upset about that. Now, when we got the new justification of the tour dates, she ain't even doing New York. She's doing Jersey. See, she's pulling that Beyonce mess where she's not even doing New York City. She's doing Jersey. So hold on as I pull up her Instagram, which is in both English and in Español. That means Spanish and English. Let me stop trying to act like I'm doing the whole translation situation. I remember hearing a joke when he was doing it. I was like, that means this. But anyway, so yeah, she put out her new dates, which kicks off May 13th at Charlotte, North Carolina, and ends on July 30th in San Francisco. But yeah, there's no New York dates. I feel like, wait, let me see. So East Rutherford, New Jersey, that's the second date on the tour, and that's May 15th. Was that the same stadium that Beyonce did for her tour? I am curious. Hold on, because let me go over to the page and see if oh yeah, so because I want to see if there was anything in the comments what people were saying. But yeah, so when she changed this, people were pissed because they already bought their tickets and she's literally about to go on tour in like a couple of weeks. And the fans, rightfully so, were pissed off because it's like, well, sis, how do you want to do this when we already... And I think this is where a lot of you celebrities tend to not pay attention, or maybe y'all just don't care. But you do know that a lot of times these people who are coming to pay money to your shows these aren't just local people. There are people that are literally buying plane tickets and also buying, paying for hotels and all the other stuff to come see you. Like, I was just seeing something where it came about Kylie Minogue and her arena tour at the Garden. I saw one person say, I'm coming from the UK and I'm coming to see you at the Garden. So people are traveling from all over. And if y'all, any of you Brits or whatever that's going to be working, that's going to come to see the Kylie show, I definitely will be seeking y'all out. Because it's like people travel far and wide to come see you. And for a lot of you celebrities to pull this, and here's the thing. On one hand, I'm proud of her that the fact that she's upgrading from arenas to stadiums. If I was Jennifer Lopez, I'd be envious too. It's like, damn, I couldn't even get half the people to even buy tickets to my arena show for This Is Me Now. And here you go. You're able to transition. But if I was Shakira, what I would have did was I would have pulled a Taylor Swift. The first leg of the tour, I would have did arenas. Then I would have taken a couple of weeks off, break or whatever. Just that way the crew and everybody else that works on the show can go spend time with their family and all that. Because Tay been on this damn tour for like 2 years. And there's been so many different reiterations of the Eras tour. Like Eras tour, literally, I think she's been on the road for like 3 or 4 times and has changed up the show. So I give it to her because she literally is up in here. Janet, this is what you need to be listening. Stop giving everybody the same damn two-step and them tight-ass costumes and change up your stuff. Because people at this point is like, you've seen one Janet concert, you've seen them all. But Taylor Swift, at least she's changing it up with the Eras tour. But if I was her, I would have pulled the Taylor Swift. I would have been like, you know what, the first leg, we're just going to do the arenas. We're going to abide by what we did. We're going to give the people what they want. The arenas was doing well. Everything was selling out. I'm going to abide by my contract, and I'm going to give y'all an arena show. Then I'll take over a couple of months. In the summer, we will rejudge the show, and we'll do stadiums. That's what you should have did. And then I'm sure those people would have came out and they would have bought tickets. So some people in the comments was like, it's so incredibly shitty to cancel an arena tour because you realize you could make more money with stadiums, especially with such short notice. If I were traveling to a show, I'd be livid. But I saw Shakira once in 2006 and she has the same choreography. Ooh, now damn, I was over here reading Janet. But now they talking about Shakira do the same thing. They said that she had the same choreography all this time later, just put on YouTube at this point and save your money. Another person said she canceled Chicago for this December and didn't open a new date for Chicago. How does this make sense? Flights, hotel, work permit, and else. But who cares? And after she canceled Chicago, now opens Houston. So I would be pissed off too. And then on top of that, are you giving your fans refunds? Like, I'm sure them tickets ain't cheap. And that's another thing when we be talking about Live Nation and Ticketmaster and all the other stuff and how y'all are price gouging people out of being able to see these shows. Like in the nosebleeds, it's like y'all charging people $300-$400. And floor seats is like $1,200, $1,300. That's like rent money. So, child, somebody said Team PK. Ooh, they going in on Shakira and her comment. And then somebody said, I bought the tickets for us and my aunt who will be coming. For US. Oh, well, not us. But I think they meant to capitalize it. But they said, I bought the tickets for US and my aunt who will be coming from Turkey. We have plans. This is very disrespectful to your fans. So I do agree. It's like you should have honored the fans and not just been like, oh, well, thank you all for supporting and inspiring me to keep pushing myself. And we're changing up the thing. And these are the new dates. And I'm excited to share the best show yet. And it's like, sis, but when are you going to acknowledge the fact that, your fans paid all this money to come see you. And now you haven't provided them refunds. There are people that bought tickets to go for one city and now it's not even a show there anymore. You moved it to another city and look, summer's about to be booked any damn way. There's a lot of people that's going to be touring this year. So she's competing with all of that. But at the same time, you should have at least had some consideration for your fans. So Shakira, that was a little tacky. And look, she looks good here. So let's pull up this picture. She was at, this is her GQ España cover. And she looks good here with the photo and stuff. Well, she always looked youthful. Miss Mamas is pushing 50, and she not aging. But I don't know. But I understand that people are pissed off, and I understand all of that. But child, for what I'm hearing, I don't know if they all that upset, because in addition to that, she's working World Pride. According to the reports, I was like, let me pull that headline up. So yeah, so she going from that to doing World Pride. And that is set to kick off in Washington, D.C., and it's going to happen on Saturday, May 31st. It says the headlining concert comes as part of her upcoming La Mujeres y Alno Lloran World Tour. After initially intending to bring her shows to arenas around the globe, the singer and Live Nation recently announced, as they said, they're upgrading the She Wolves tour to stadium venues, which we already talked about how people are pissed off about that because they have plans. They spent a lot of money already. Like, you're doing this weeks away from actually you going on tour, and it just seems like you don't give a damn. She didn't even acknowledge it. It just feels like, and this is why some people was asking, is she the new Jennifer Lopez? Where, you basically just being disrespectful to your plans, you being money hungry, and you don't give a damn about what they want or what they think. And shout out to late Ashley Fine Ass. That's him with the the white t-shirt on and the blue jeans. So shout out to late, So I'm even gonna give you all the link to the pre-sales on this stuff. Y'all want to buy tickets, y'all can buy tickets. But here's the thing. Speaking of Taylor Swift, because we did mention her earlier, they saying that she basically broke Taylor Swift's record as the first woman to sell out 5 consecutive stadium shows at Estadio GNP Seguros in Mexico City, per Marca, and performing at World Pride. So basically, Shakira Mania is upon us, that people aren't that mad, or maybe the people in Mexico ain't that upset. Maybe they weren't affected by this. It's just mostly us Americans, or as they like, the Latinos like to us gringos. We're the ones who's really affected, or y'all are, because I wasn't buying no ticket to no Shakira show. But maybe it was that y'all are more affected by this because it's like she don't have respect for y'all, and the fact of, okay, we getting refunds. What's happening with the money? You decide to, upgrade into something. And yeah, there's nothing wrong with upgrading if the audience is there and the demand is there. So you either add multiple dates to your arena tour, like Kylie Minogue did with her upcoming Tension tour that she's doing in the US, because they left certain gaps just in case the momentum was there, and it is in New York. I don't know since then if it is expanded in other areas, but so far she's doing 2 nights in New York. You could have did that. You could have expanded on your nights in the US, or like I said before, first leg of the tour, arenas. Second leg of the tour, you upgrade to stadiums. You got the money and the wherewithal to do that. I mean, do we need to get in the little tax situation that happened over in España? Maybe we'll leave that alone for now. But I say all that to say, what do y'all think of this story? Are y'all here? Are y'all pissed off because of what Miss Shockey did? I mean, I've been a fan of her since she was like, what? Like, she was making music for over 3 decades. She was making, look, Almost I See. Let's take it all the way back to that. When she was like 13 years old, and she came up with that damn song and was out here belly dancing and all this stuff. And ever since I seen her do that with that red hair, and she was out here belly dancing, bringing that Lebanese side to her, and dance with the knives, where some people always try to make excuses with Britney. I said, well, first of all, Shakira's Lebanese. That's part of the culture. What's Britney excuse? Mental health issues? So I say all this, say, what do y'all think of this story? Whatever your thoughts are on this whole situation, call her out, or you understand whatever the case is. I do feel like it's wrong for her to do what she did, because these, tickets are expensive, and people don't just have money to just be throwing away. So let me know what you guys think of this story in the comments down below. Okay, so Robin did a collab with Snoop on Body Talk. Yeah. Who did work with Snoop at this point? Okay, so Sailor Mermaid's in the building. Said, hey. I would love to see She-Wolf live, but Tension Tour is more important because I had no idea if it was. Absolutely. And that's why I say at this point, you have to choose your battles. Like, there's not a lot of people that can come out here. And because of Live Nation and Ticketmaster and things of that nature, tickets is not cheap. So you got to choose your battles, choose your fighter, as this shirt says. You know, this is my Deadpool and Wolverine t-shirt that a friend of mine got for me. So you got to choose your battle, choose your fighter, as like I said, the shirt says, and you got to pick, got to pick what you got to pick. And I do agree with that. It's like the Tension Tour is way more important. Like Kylie Minogue is a once in a lifetime experience. And like I said, I've seen her twice. So when she comes around with this arena tour, this will be the first time I've seen her in an arena setting. She brings an arena type show to a theater, like a smaller theater. And she did that with, when she came here twice to America, and she did the 2 shows in New York. I love the fact that she brought that sense of, creativity or whatever the case was, and that euphoric essence or whatever the case may be. So I love the fact that, so I'm excited to see her in this setting. So to me, I just feel like that is way more important. Shakira will always be able to travel to the United States and abroad and give an extravagant show. Or as that Rita said, that shady Rita in the comments said, the same choreography. Look, it said she put on Janet. She out there giving y'all the same shit over and over, expecting a different result. That's the definition of insanity, in case y'all didn't know that. But yeah, so she's so we'll always be able to see her. When it comes to Kylie, it's like we don't necessarily know when we'll have that opportunity. So for us to actually, when I was growing up listening to Kylie Minogue, and I really got I listened to the Stock Aitken Waterman stuff, but I really got into her when the Fever era. That's when I really started paying attention to her. Yeah, I remember Light Years and all this stuff, but when that whole Can't Get You Out of My Head and all this stuff, that made me really get into her and listen to her music and really get into her back catalog. So I was buying the maxi singles, I was buying the album, I was getting everything. And then to see how she puts on a live show gagged me hard, especially like the overall extravaganza of it all, like how she just, everything is so larger than life and how she transports you to another world, and the choreography and how the men that she would have up in there, it was like so unapologetic in the choreography, and the men were just masculine, but also just like there was that gayness to the choreography that came across, and it was like they were so unapologetic in it, and Kylie just made you feel like it's okay to be your true homosexual self. And so that's why I live for that. So to see all this on DVDs, because I bought her Showgirl tour, I bought the Aphrodite tour, I bought the Fever tour. Like when I seen all of those DVDs, and I sat up in my house as a kid, and I was mesmerized by what I was seeing, I'm like, oh my God, like I envied the people that were at the O2 and so many other places that got the opportunity to see these shows live. So to be able to witness this happening in America, you damn right I'm gonna choose Miss Kylie Minogue over some damn Shakira. So we got to choose our battles, as I would like to say. Oh, you said, yeah, this might be her only U.S. Yeah, because we don't know. Like, it's been 30 plus years, and we've never. And yeah, from the 2 times that I've seen her in a smaller setting, this has been a dream to be like, to see her in an arena setting. So we already know it's going to be larger than life. So this may be her only tour. You never. Well, in America, you never know. Or if the fans demand it, maybe she will continue to give us what Madonna should be giving us, but hasn't. I hate having to hit up with that straight, but So we have 4 more topics to get to. So before we get to those topics, if you can, please hit that like button and the subscribe button. Also be sure to smash that notification button so that way you know when we go live with a brand new episode of Chris Avalon Unfiltered. If you have not already, it definitely helps with the algorithm and all that good stuff. So without further ado, let's get into our next topic. And since we were talking about monsters, let's talk about Cooper Koch, who basically revealed in a recent interview that his acting teacher gave him some real stank advice, saying that he wouldn't book roles because he has gay voice. which I think definitely hinders a lot of people because, you know, when you're an actor, and especially if you're a closeted actor or you're gay or whatever the case is, you know, you have those fears of like when they tell you, oh, you won't be successful in Hollywood because you're gay. You have to hide your mannerism. You got to tone down the mannerisms, and you got to change your diction, and you sound too feminine, and all, you know, you hear all those things. Or you walk like a girl, you talk like a girl, all those things. And so that hinders you. So anyway, so it says that Cooper Koch, one of the breakout stars of Monsters, the Lyle and Eric Menendez story, remember the coach telling him, basically saying, he said this, is it true, someone asked him basically on Watch What Happens Live, said, is it true an acting teacher told you the reason you weren't booking roles is because you have gay voice? And then Andy Cohen asked him on a recent episode of Watch What Happens Live, and he goes, yes, it's true. I was so stunned by it at the time. It was before the class even started, and then I had to go through class. I'll add more to the story. She then proceeded to tell the entire class the conversation we had, and all the students were looking at me like, oh my God, well, oh no, child. Now, I'd have cussed her that bitch out, because one of the things you're not going to do is you literally came up in there, you were being disrespectful, and you wanted to basically make an example out of me and just tear me down, because when you look at somebody who you can probably see has it, you want to tear that person down and prevent them from wanting to pursue a career. And any regular person probably would have been like, you know what, I quit and I'm not just going to pursue it because, yeah, I'll never have the opportunity to become famous. But it's that resilience and keep pushing and trying that has people, you know, persevering in the end. So they also say that Koch playfully shared that he can flip it on and off, turning to Cohen's other guest, Phineas O'Connell, who is Billie Eilish's brother, with a "what's good, bro?" and his best hetero handshake. Say, you never know, O'Connell joke. And here's the thing. When I was watching Monsters, I didn't know Cooper Koch was gay because I wasn't following his career like that. Like, I heard that there was a movie that he did that came out that was like the horror. Damn, I forgot it again. The name of the horror film that he's a part of it. It's Swallowed. Yeah, so that's on, I believe, Prime Video, but I think you have to like rent or buy it or whatever. It's on one of the streaming services. I don't know where it is for free, but I know if you go on Prime Video, you can probably rent it and watch it. So I didn't know that Cooper Koch was gay, but I was looking at him and was like, oh, he's attractive. And, you know, then we seen that side Payne scene and all that other stuff. I was like, okay. But then when I started watching him in interviews and he was queening out on the stage, I was like, okay, now I know we know some tea on him. And the point of an actor is they're supposed to take you and make you believe this character that they're playing. I'm not this person in real life. So therefore, yeah, when I walk into a room and I'm in front of the casting directors, or now they do on tape, because they don't even want to do in person anymore. So now when you do auditions on tape and all this other stuff, it's like, yeah, okay, so I suck dick in real life. But what the hell does that have to do with me playing this part? I can show you that I'm just as good as any of the other contemporaries that are going up for this role. And as an actor, you're supposed to become the character that's on the page. So for someone to go, oh, you have gay voice and you're not going to be able to convince people. There are plenty of actors out here who are very convincing outside of the heterosexual, you know, homosexual, or homosexual, because as I like to say it, situation. Coleman Domingo is openly gay. You wouldn't be able to tell based on his performance. Also, Matt Bomer. We have Neil Patrick Harris. There's been a lot of people. So they also said the heartthrob du jour shared a more detailed reaction to his experience in 2023 with the Edge Media Network, saying, I have a thick skin, and at this point in my life, I've, you know, been through bullying when I was a kid. I've been fired from a pilot because of it, but I also don't tolerate it anymore. I just will turn the other way and walk away. And also, it's like, yeah, if you're going to have that kind of opinion, or you're going to want to work, or you're not going to want to work with me because my voice sounds a certain way, or because I walk and talk or move my hands in a certain way, then I don't want to work with you either, babe. Now, he also remained confident in himself, telling Cohen, I love my gay voice. And host of Bravo Bigwig replied, I love your gay voice too. I'm sure that's not the only thing you like, Miss Cohen. So I always feel like, in a way, is that when you learn to embrace what is perceived as your imperfections, or the things that people like to make fun of you about, Because I remember when I was a kid, used to be called, oh, you act gay, or you do this, or you do that. And it used to hinder me in a lot of ways. And it also prevented me from wanting to pursue certain things in the arts, because when you grow up, I've told this story many times in passing on this show, when you grow up in the hood, there's this whole sense of you have to present yourself as, code switch. You have to present yourself as being masculine, or you have to present yourself to be a certain way. Now I don't give a fuck. I live my life as I see fit. If you got a problem with it, knuck if you up. Is how I feel about it. But yeah, when I was a kid, I used to always try to hide things, and then I would always hear stories that, when I would act a certain way and I would be a little too effeminate in situations, that people would whisper to my mother, oh, your son's gay, right? Like there would always be stuff like that. Oh, your son's gonna try to be a faggot. Or they would say crazy stuff like that, like real disgusting shit that you would hear, growing up in the 80s and 90s. And you don't even know, as a kid, you don't know what that means. You don't know what, you're acting like a F word, or you're acting like you're a gay boy or homo. You don't understand those things. But based off of the tone of the voice, that it's perceived as a negative when you hear it from people. Which has caused, with Cooper Cott's situation, where I would have to butch it up a little bit more in a lot of the situations. Now I'm proud to be a butch queen. Like, I'll be out here pop dipping and spinning in the street and still living my life, and I still bag the boys. Some of them is, got baby mamas, married, and all the other stuff. Not that I'm out here hunting for these men, but I'd rather be out here in the open living my best life than trying to pretend to be something I'm not, trying to live this lie, and then on the low, punching people of the same gender. So the moral of this story is don't let these heifers out here dim your light. Let your flame burn bright. I'm a poet and I know it. So I say all this to say, what do y'all think of this story? Whatever your thoughts are. If you have any stories that are similar or you can relate in so many ways, definitely drop it down in the comments. But look, we're at a point in life now that there's opportunities for openly gay actors or for actors to portray different things. And yeah, we're still moving at a snail's pace. And we still got a long way to go in regards of acceptance and equality and that sort of thing. But that's why we got to keep getting out here and fighting and be the change we want to see in the world, and show a lot of the next generation that, you can be your authentic self and still find success. So let me know what you guys think of this story in the comments down below. Okay, so you said 90% of the audience will be gay, trans, and of course there will be a lot of Kylie drag. Of course. Child, when I went to her shows many a times in New York, you know how many homosexuals I was in the room with? And there was a lot of people I knew, especially from nightlife. I can't tell you how many people I ran into at Roseland. Hammerstein. I can't tell you how many gays I ran into when I was there. But I lived. I was like, yeah, she had all the gays in her room, all the drag queens. I'm sure there was some trans people, because back then we weren't thinking of trans in that way. But yeah, I'm sure there was a lot of trans girls, and all the circuit queens was on the floor. I was in the balcony, which I like being up there because I was in the front row of the balcony, and there was the seat. So it's I could sit down when I needed to. And then of course there was that part when, during Closer, where she's riding the black guy with the wings. She did incorporate that in her show, and being that close, which is everything. He said it's campy and very queer and gay. That's Kylie Minogue. That's what the observer doesn't understand, that Kylie Minogue is unapologetically gay because her audience is close to her age. Yeah, and it was I just love how she does everything with a wink and a nod. She doesn't take herself seriously. I love the fact that she is the she's the observer, and she's also she brings the spectacle. Sony asked Netflix to buy the Zachary Levi movie about a crayon. They don't want that shit. First of all, ain't nobody gonna buy it or watch it because it flopped at the box office. Who wants to watch a movie about a damn crayon? I wonder if they saw his rant from he went on another rant? Child, his career is done. Just stay in Texas and make those, those religious films or Christian-based movies. He just out here he's such a loser. You just sit out here and you just blame everybody for the fact of your career being in the toilet. Maybe it's you. How about that? You can't blame everybody for, for your life being the way it is. It's just like you just don't have the wherewithal to get people interested in seeing you as this sole talent. Like he wants to be Chris Evans. He wants to be Dwayne The Rock Johnson. You just don't have, no shade, but you just don't have that overall look. No, you're not believable as a superhero. Like to me, I feel like John Krasinski would be more believable as Shazam than he was. And he worked in the part of that, but I feel like Shazam, Fury of the Gods, the second one, he was the issue. He was the part that irritated me about that damn movie. I wanted more of the kids and that whole interaction. That's what I love about the original Shazam. But I feel like Zachary got into his own his ego got the best of him. He was thinking like, oh, I want to be a star. I want to be the one on the marquee. Remember at one point he tried to blame Dwayne Johnson and the whole Black Adam situation. Then he tried to blame Keanu Reeves with John Wick, which I just heard the 10th anniversary of John. I'm like, damn, where the time goes. The original John Wick came out in 2014. And they're celebrating the 10th anniversary. I don't know if it's going to the movies. If it does, I might have to go see that because I never had the opportunity to see John Wick in the movies. I remember when I worked at AMC, it was a limited release. It was in one of the small theaters on the top floor, actually, because it's 25 floors. So it was like 25 floors, 25 theaters. It was on the top floor. And I never got the opportunity to see it because every time I wanted to go get a ticket, it was sold out or it was in a seat that I was like, I'm not sitting all the way in the front. So they were talking about how like the investors were not going to invest in the movie because they wanted Keanu Reeves from Point Break. They didn't want, facial hair and all that stuff. And it's like, so Assassin can't have a scruffy look? Like, what's wrong with facial hair? Oh, we need clean face and we need him looking. I was like, okay, these investors are idiots. Like, y'all really think that we all care about scruff on a face? We just want a story. We just want to know if a movie's good or not. We don't care if somebody's got facial hair. But it just goes to show the dumb things that they focus on. But anyway, so now let's talk about Danny Ramirez, who is breaking his silence over this whole drama that happened with the Joaquin Phoenix movie. So at this point, it's like, shit, I ain't even thinking about it. But since Danny Ramirez is talking, I was like, let's talk about it. So I'm more or less interested in the queer movie that's coming out with Daniel Craig, which kind of like sounds like it's similar, but maybe the similarity is the fact that it both takes place in Mexico City. Or that the movie with Danny and Joaquin was supposed to take place in Mexico City, whereas the movie with Daniel Craig is taking place in Mexico City. And I definitely want to check this movie out, Queer, when it comes out, because I'm hearing a lot of rave reviews. So yeah, Danny Ramirez recently did an interview with Mark Malkin and broke his silence. He said that he felt that he had arrived as a performer when he got the chance to star alongside Phoenix in a film by the director of such masterpieces as Say, Far From Heaven, Carol, and May December. But the Top Gun Maverick actor seems to understand that in Hollywood, sometimes that's just how the cookie crumbles. Well, yeah, because everything is not always going to happen. Sometimes it's just not meant to be. Just like I feel like it ain't going to be for Mahershala Ali to ever get up and play Blade. This is the second time Blade got a stray today. But whatever. So he said, it's definitely disappointing. This is what he told Variety at the Academy Museum Gala Saturday night in LA. Now, if anything, it just gave me more inspiration to keep driving, keep pushing, and knowing that I'm on the right path and approaching the work in the right way. So that's what I'm excited about. Now, Phoenix abruptly, exited the film as it was just days, I believe 5 days, into the supposed to start filming in Mexico. They had built the sets. They were supposed to bring in, they were supposed to begin on do a lot of principal photography, all that other stuff. And then he goes and he decides to decline for no reason mentioned. We don't even know why he didn't do it. So Phoenix abruptly, they said that Ramirez was in the final days of shooting the second season of The Last of Us, in which he plays Manny Ramirez when his co-star left the project. Now, Phoenix did not provide a reason for his departure, but the film's sales hinged on his casting, and his role reportedly could not be recast. And they were saying, like, yeah, speaking of investors, we were talking about Keanu Reeves, the only reason why that they jumped on this film is because of Joaquin Phoenix's cachet. I guess because he's does a lot of these independent films. He's an indie movie darling. And then he did Joker, which made $1 billion. We ain't even gonna mention Foley I Do. We already done windmilled and given that movie the business. Although I did cackle when I saw on Pop Crave, they mentioned that they're trying to put up Lady Gaga in the film and stuff for Oscar consideration. I'm like, are y'all slow? Like, are y'all not paying attention to what's going on? Like, that movie is the biggest flop of 2024. Nobody is trying to consider any of y'all or any part of that film Oscar worthy. So let it put it where? In the words of Vivica Fox, back there. Let the movie go. It's a big financial failure for Warner Brothers. Leave it, let it burn to ash, as he tried to do with Gotham. So let him do that. But my thing with this, now that said, asking if the film could still happen, Ramirez noted that he's been shifting gears to different projects, and so the most recent update is hopefully. And here's the thing, I like Danny Ramirez ever since, I don't remember what it was that I've seen him in, but every time I've seen him in stuff, I was like, first of all, he's a cutie. Like, he's definitely my type. You know, I don't have a type, but you know, I have a weakness for Latin men. But when it comes to him, it was just like, okay, now he's a hottie. And I've been following him a lot in his career. And I know he's supposed to be in the the Winter Soldier movie. He's supposed to be in, not Winter Soldier, the Falcon movie. The Captain America movie that's supposed to be coming out. He's supposed to be in that. I remember seeing him in the trailer. So he's supposed to be in that. And I believe he was in Falcon and Winter Soldier. That's why I was thinking about it, because he was in Falcon and Winter Soldier, the series. So he's actually going to be in the movie that's coming out in February, which I actually thought was a TV series at first when I first started hearing about it. But no, it's actually going in theaters in February. But so I've been following Danny's career, and I liked him in Top Gun Maverick, his little part. And I've been seeing him a lot in a lot of things. So I've definitely been following his career, and I'm curious to see where it's going to go. But I do feel like, you know, with movies always getting the opportunity to be, you know, people drop out all the time. I really wish that they would have given the opportunity to still bring this movie to theaters and find another actor who'll be willing to step in and replace. Now, let's get to this picture of Joaquin running away from the project. So while he ran away from the project, there's a couple of actors that I believe that wanted to run towards the project. So we did mention, I think last week, that Lewis Pullman, who is Bill Pullman's son, and who's also in Salem's Lot, that's on HBO, he actually threw his hat in the ring and said he would have no problem stepping into the Joaquin Phoenix role. I also have some ideas, and also let's not forget openly gay AEW star Anthony Bowens. We did that story where he basically threw his hat in the ring and said that he would do the love scenes and replace Joaquin. And I guess maybe he's trying to get into acting, so he said he have no problem punching Danny Ramirez in that film. So now there were some other people that I was thinking about who could possibly come in. What about Danny's Last of Us co-star Pedro Pascal? I would like to see him in that role. I mean, he's played gay many a times, or I should say before. I mean, I don't want to say, well, I don't know how many times he's played gay, but he has played gay characters before. But I also think Pedro is busy, like with The Last of Us. Also, he's in the UK shooting Fantastic Four. He also has the Mandalorian movie. So he's pretty busy. So I wouldn't put Pedro. It would be nice to see him in the film, but he's busy. But I would like to see Coleman Domingo, Matt Bomer, Jonathan Bailey, Ricky Martin, Andrew Scott, Murray Bartlett, Hugh Jackman, and Luke Evans. And you see all the homosexuals I mentioned. So that's my list. So I say all this to say, what do y'all think of this story? Like, I would have definitely loved to have seen this film get made. I just honestly didn't want to see Joaquin Phoenix hunching anybody, let alone a man. Because I guess maybe I'm looking at it from a standpoint of like, I just don't think Joaquin is attractive. Maybe I'm looking at it from that point, and you know what Hollywood is always about, good looking and this and that. But it's like men can be just messy and sloppy looking, and we just supposed to be okay with it. But to me, I'm more excited to see queer, because the men that's up in this one, and Daniel Craig, I love me some Daniel Craig. And then the fact that like with him and Omar Apollo and they alleged sex scene, and you know the pictures and everything leaked on Twitter and people gagging. And so I'm more excited for queer than I am for this film. But it would have been nice for this film to get to happen. But unfortunately, you know what? In Hollywood, it's how the cookie crumbles. So let me know what you guys think of this story in the comments down below. He said, oh yeah, that's what said. He was in Falcon and Winter Soldier, but he's also in the Falcon movie that's supposed to be coming out in February. Because I remember there is a scene where him and Falcon is walking down the hallway, and there's like a big action sequence or whatever. So yeah, Danny Ramirez is definitely in that movie, and he's in a bunch of things. So I've always liked him. Oh, that's another one too. Sebastian Stan, child, that's another one I got a crush on. Look at me, I'm just such a I like the look. That's a good part about being a homosexual. I like a lot of men, and Sebastian Stan is good looking. I don't want to see that movie that he did with Donald Trump because I feel like that we're just getting Donald Trump in real time. There's really no point of y'all making a movie when we're getting the true Donald Trump in real time. So y'all just asked for that movie to flop. But for the most part, I like Sebastian Stan, and he's played gay before. He was on that show with Sigourney Weaver when she played his mother, and she was the president. So I remember that. Sure. Allegedly. Oh yeah, I like Russell Tovey too. We don't hear about him often enough. I know there was speaking of Russell Tovey, I was thinking about Looking. Remember that show? They celebrated their 10th anniversary. And they were talking about they asked oh my god, what's the hell's his name? The one that played the barber, Ricky. They asked him on the show, what does he think that him and Patrick's character would be today? Because I think in the movie, if I remember correctly, they got back together. And I always liked him for Ricky. I didn't like him with Russell Tovey character. Now, don't get me wrong, them sex scenes was hot. But I didn't like them being together as a couple. Because I was like, he's toxic for you. But Patrick kept gravitating towards trash any damn way. And he used to irritate me a lot of times. I like the actor, but I didn't like the character he was playing. He was annoying. But anyway, so he was asking where they would be today. He said he probably would have moved to Mexico City or something or another because there was, I think it was because of all the stuff that was going on with Donald Trump and those other stuff. He said, yeah, they probably would have moved out of the country. Well, I wouldn't be surprised. First of all, I think Andrew Garfield is a cutie. I mean, I like the tall ones. You know, he probably got a big one too. So, and then he did some recent interview, I think, what was it with Florence Pugh? And he was talking about how he has dick pics all through his phone. I was like, wait, do straight boys carry a lot of peen pics in their phone? I know the gays do. Like, if you go through any gay man's phone, there's nudes all over that situation. But for the gays, I'm like, I mean, for the straights, I'm like, do straight men carry a lot of pictures of their penis in their phones? They probably do, because, you know, men are men at the end of the day. And, you know, men are visual creatures. But I don't think women are that much into receiving dick pics like guys are. That's like our official greeting. That's like how you doing? we greet each other with dick and bussy pics. You know how many booty pics I get from dudes? When they find out I'm a top, they be like, you know, I get so many a-hole and booty pics. Not that I mind, because I am an ass man. So yeah, but this I also feel. Yeah, well, child, I have gotten that vibe. Because look at the personal life section, very much no love life, which means, well, you know what? There's a lot of actors in Hollywood that are like that. We don't hear Sebastian Stan. Also, funny enough, Daniel Franzese, I never knew. Well, I can't say I never met him, because when I lived in LA, and the place that I lived, which I told you it was like the back of the house I would rent, and in the front of the house it basically was like it was like a vintage thrift store. So Matthew Anderson used to come in there all the time. Child, he used to steal clothes because he was going through his dementia stuff. So he used to just buy up a bunch of stuff, never intend to buy. And he would just like lose sense of where he was. So he used to come there all the time. And then Daniel Franzese, because my roommates and stuff who I was renting the house out from, there were a couple. I don't think they're together anymore, but that's near here nor there, because I used to hear them fighting all the damn time. But they be spilling other people's tea. But so yeah, they had a picture of him on the refrigerator. He used to always come to the house all the time. Him and Jemmy Clayton, who y'all know played Hellraiser, Pinhead in the Hellraiser reboot. So that's how I met her there too. Because on Fridays they would always have like a comedy special where they would have people come there and do comedy. I kind of sat around and listened to the jokes. Yeah, she was there. Daniel Franzese would always show up. And that's how I met him, because it was just like, you know, based off the celebrities that would interact and people knew at that house. And this was when I lived in Silver Lake. So he been around. We know Miss Franzese. They said, oh yeah, he used to live in Fort Lauderdale. You said no women. Oh yeah, that's what I said. Women hate getting peen pics, but men love it. You know, we like getting the nudes. Not that I mind. And child, sometimes when I be talking to someone, let me not put any of my Facebook friends on blast because yeah, they be DMing me stuff. No, the real cute ones, I was like, they were like, oh, I've always had a thing for you. And I'm like, well, how are you just now telling me this? You should have told me this before. But anyway, let me get off my whoredom and let's get into this story. With Al Pacino opening up about cruising. Now, cruising, I know it is controversial. I know a lot of people have a lot of negative things to say about it. And I know it was like a big controversial film. It was before my time. However, I like it because we get to see, because of the whole leather scene, a lot of the homosexual interactions. You know, I just like the gayness of that film. But I get why it's deemed controversial, because William Friedkin was putting something that was near and dear within the gay community on blast, and people were kind of looking at, especially when it came down to, you know, during the whole AIDS crisis and stuff that was going on, how gay people or homosexuals were being looked down upon at that time. But the overall theme of the film I actually like, and seeing like old New York, which I never got to witness growing up. So like, that's why I like movies like that. I like movies like The Warriors. I like just watching, or any early Scorsese movies like Taxi Driver and things of that nature. I just love seeing like the overall aesthetic of old New York. So now he's basically opening up. Al Pacino's opening up about it. And from what I never know, he never really spoke on, you know, the criticisms and the controversy that was levied against the film. And the movie came out in 1980. And he basically said he agrees with all the criticisms. So in his new memoir, Sonny Boy, the Oscar winner admitted he found the movie exploitative to the LGBTQ community upon its release, revealing that he donated his pay from the William Friedkin helmed film to various charities. He explained that he was interested in pushing the envelope, but the project became very controversial during its production, with protesters at set almost every day concerned the film would depict the LGBTQ community in a negative light, according to People. Now, loosely based on the 1970 Gerald Walker novel, Cruising stars Pacino as Detective Steve Burns, who goes undercover in New York City's S&M bars to catch a serial killer that's viciously murdering the city's gay men. Pacino found Cruising exploitative once it was released in 1980, and he ultimately remained quiet instead of promoting the film. He said, I took the money, and it was a lot, and I put it in an irrevocable trust fund. This is what he explained. He said, I gave it to charities, and with the interest, it was able to last a couple of decades. I don't know if it's eased my conscience, but at least my money did some good. The actor noted that he didn't want to make it a PR stunt. He said, I just wanted one positive thing to come out from that experience. Friedkin, who, you know, died at age 87 last year, previously admitted Cruising was not the best foot forward for the gay rights movement, but I never intended the film to be critical of gays, as he spoke to The Wrap in 2013, saying that I just thought the S&M world would make a good backdrop for a murder mystery. But I did not in any way mean for it to reflect the gay lifestyle. I understood at the time that people were trying to achieve gay rights were not going to appreciate such a tough picture. It's still very tough, very hard-edged and ambiguous. So while on one hand, I love the artistic expression that it took for that film, and the fact that they were exploring S&M and that whole world, and the mine shaft and the ramrod and all those leather bars, because back in the day in New York we had a ton of the leather bars. I don't even think we have one. Oh wait, we have the Eagle. So so I think that's like literally the only, off the top of my head, if I'm wrong, correct me in the comments, but I feel like the Eagle is the only place in New York that we have that is the only leather bar in New York. And we used to have a bunch, but we used to have a lot of gay bars and clubs and stuff in New York. And sporadically, we still have a couple of them. But back in those days, it was a little edgier. And I could totally understand that William Friedkin just saw something and was like, you know what, this would be, I think a lot of people just think in a way of like, oh, we need something controversial. We need something. And so that way we can get people interested in watching this movie, not thinking about how it's going to affect marginalized communities. It's, to me, the same argument that people have about what's his name, Aaron Pierre, who was cast in Green Lantern as Jon Stewart. People look at the comment as like, well, he's been always made a dark-skinned guy, but people in Hollywood are probably looking at him as like, he's got these green eyes, which works perfect. He's very much a good actor. He's very piercing, and he can bring that sort of thing to the thing, but not realizing the other side, how it affects other people who have an issue with colorism. It's the same thing with this situation is the fact that you're not realizing that, okay, by taking this on and the gay community is trying to get rights for our community and not be treated like we're the ones who brought HIV and AIDS to the forefront and we're going around spreading this disease and trying to kill people, or, you know, and all the negative connotations that come with being LGBTQ plus. And here this movie comes along and is giving the other side ammunition to hate us even more. So I can totally get why people feel the way they feel. But me personally, I mean, I guess maybe I don't have no ties to it because 1980, it was like, I wasn't even born. So with this sort of thing, it's just like I totally understand. I was like, it was before my time. So I have no connection to why people would feel the way they feel. But I can have empathy and I can understand why people feel the way they feel about this movie. So I say all this to say, you know what? Shout out to Al Pacino for finally speaking out. That I'm glad that he's finally getting his side of the story out in his memoir. And, you know, he's speaking out on a film that was deemed and still is, I guess, in so many ways, controversial. I remember at one point James Franco tried to do a whole thing of, you know, the missing footage that was from the original film, and he decided to film it. I rolled my eyes so hard at that mess because it was just like, here you go. Now, talk about exploitative. That mess was exploitative. But y'all have a right to feel how y'all feel, especially with the whole William Friedkin thing. So I say all this to say, what do y'all think of this story? Whatever your thoughts are, let me know in the comments down below. You said I knew Daniel from clubs. Mm-hmm. And you said they recently added cruising to the Criterion collection. Oh, I own cruising. I have it. Well, I downloaded it. It's like a digital download. So if anytime I want to watch it, I can just pop it on. Damn, this makes me almost want to sit and watch it now after thinking about this story. But anyway, so at this point, let's move on to our final topic. Well, let's talk about Drag Race heading to South Africa. So while we sitting there still talking about the mess that is Global All Stars, I can't wait for that. Is that show over yet? I fell asleep on the last episode, so I don't even know if the Lollapalooza was the finale. But yeah, I'm just so over this season. This season was a hot mess. I didn't like where they were going with it and everything. But yeah, so it came out over the weekend that Drag Race is heading to South Africa. I remember I was just having to scroll on Instagram and literally it was up for 10 minutes. And I sent it to a friend of mine, and my friend who works with a lot of the Drag Race girls was like, is this for real? I was like, yeah, it's official. Tissue. They are heading to South Africa. So shout out to Pink News with this story. It says RuPaul's Drag Race has announced its first ever spinoff based in Africa, Drag Race South Africa, and we're already living. Excuse me. Now, over 15 years after the first ever season of RuPaul's Drag Race made it to air, there have now been over 15 international spinoffs of the franchise, including the Versus the World franchise, Global All Stars, and the regular All Stars iterations. Now, RuPaul isn't slowing down, according to the report, with Drag Race's newest version coming to the continent of Africa for the first time, saying, start your end in South Africa, a post from Drag Race streaming service Wow Presents Plus read on Twitter. Drag Race South Africa has officially been greenlit by World of Wonder and will premiere exclusively on Wow Presents Plus worldwide. Now, casting for Drag Race South Africa begins in 2025. Stay tuned, racers. You should already know they're already casting for Drag Race. I don't know if it's ended yet, but I know they're scheduling for, well, they're casting for Drag Race US seasons. What season are we in? 18. Season 18, I believe. Season 17 is coming in January. But season 18, they're casting for it already. So I believe you're going wild. Y'all can figure all that out. But in regards to South Africa, I'm like, okay, like, I'm here for it. I mean, even though, look, I feel like we're already oversaturated with so many different Drag Race shows. But my question is, who's going to host Drag Race South Africa? Should it be Miss Cameroon? Bibi Zahara Benet? Does she have what it takes to hold down and do a I forgot. So it didn't end its season. So we're going to find out this week. So it's Kitty Scott Claus, Alyssa Edwards, and Queen Kong, and Nelania. we already see what they doing over there, where y'all gonna pretty much have the American win or the Brit. So we already see what y'all doing, RuPaul. It's gonna be one of the shows that you host, but to not make it seem so obvious, you pick one from the show you ain't hosted, like Nelania, to be a part of it, just so y'all can smooth. But we see through the BS. We see what y'all doing over there with that. But look, so we have Canada's Drag Race, which is hosted by Brooklyn Heights, but it's a bunch of them. So then we have the Netherlands, Down Under, Spain, Italy, France, Philippines, Belgium, Sweden, Mexico, Brazil, Germany, and then so they have all of that. But now what has me wondering with South Africa, because I know, like, if I could think off the top of my head, South Africa, I feel like is more liberal, right? So they won't have a problem casting people there. But what if you pick somebody from like a more type of place where they condemn and are against homosexuality, like the Sudan or whatever the case is? What if those queens want to come over there and try out for the South Africa show? Will their lives be put in danger because, you know, certain parts of Africa is accepting of the LGBTQIA plus community, but then there's certain parts of Africa that are not? Because South Africa South Africa is not one little continent. It's not this a small little thing. It's huge. And they have so many different, you know, situations interlinked within the continent of Africa. So it kind of makes me wonder on that and worrying about the safety of some of the other girls who don't have like that. But I do feel like when it comes to the show, it will make some amazing stories to find out about, like, the history of Africa and what a lot of the queens go through in regards of fighting for equality in sections of Africa that where it's not okay to be gay, or I should just say in general terms queer. So I really hope that they tap into those. I'm curious to see who they're going to have as the judge as well as the host. I definitely am going hard for Miss BB if she got what it takes to you know, be able to host. I'm sure it's not that hard. Look, Brooklyn Heights, then be up in there doing it. And then you got Miss Thing in Philippines as a judge, Jiggly Caliente. So you got members of Drag Race that are, you know, doing their thing. But I don't know. I'm strongly feeling that they might go BB with that. But I don't know. If they don't, then I'll be interested to see, like, also on the flip side, I'm definitely interested to see, like, what is the drag culture like in South Africa and that whole place, and also how many actual queens of color is going to be on there, because like I was saying before, we've heard conversations about how the colorism issue, especially with the lack of indigenous queens on Mexico and the lack of darker, you know, Spaniard queens on España. And I was just talking to a friend of mine who him and his husband are actually coming from Spain to New York, I think today or tomorrow. Hey, Jovan and Enrique. Hey, y'all. I'll see y'all when y'all get here. But and he was saying that he don't see the issue or whatever, that there is. I said, well, it might be news to me. Maybe I'm not looking in the right place, because, you know, according to some the overall complaint, I'm seeing a lot of light skinned European appealing Spaniards that are competing. We have not seen. When was the last time a queen of color actually competed on España? It had to be season 2. We're in season 4? Plus they had All Stars. So I don't think, like, it's been a while. So to me, everybody's starting to blend and look alike. So I think that's the overall complaint. Maybe y'all look at things differently because it depends on the neighborhood in which you're from. But I think for the most part, it's the lack of color and all this. So I do wonder that with South Africa, because look, we've heard so many stories of how many people born and raised in South Africa that look like Charlize Theron and ugly as Elon Musk. So there's that. So I say all that to say, what do y'all think of this story? Are you excited for South Africa, Drag Race heading to South Africa and what they plan on bringing in regards to the culture and their drag aesthetic? And do y'all questions mirror mine? If y'all have any more to add to that, definitely drop it down in the comments down below. Okay, so you say this week's episode. Okay, yeah, because when I read on with it, I said, okay, I'll see this week's episode. Yeah, because I fell asleep in the last episode. I've noticed I've been falling asleep a lot on Drag Race because I'm like, this season is so boring. So I need to rewatch it. Or maybe my problem is I watch those shows late. That's like with Dragula. I was talking about, I'm like, I gotta wait till next Monday to find out who died, who got electrocuted, who's not coming back. Someone said in the comment, BB Zahara Benet with should host it since she's from Cameroon. Exactly. So and Valentina did Mexico, but then they got rid of her after the first season. Maybe she wasn't that good. I didn't really watch Mexico like that. Like I took a gander every now and again, but it was all right. And he said, I'm not sure if it works that way where a queen from Sudan can go to South Africa to be on the show. They have to be a resident. Oh, okay. So I guess that's how they do it. And I guess maybe South Africa is pretty huge, so there'll always be queens they can find. I'm so oversaturated with Drag Race. I don't care about whatever is going on in global. Drag Race 17 is getting announced in a month, and All Stars 10 is going to start filming. All Stars 10 is already done. They did that like over the summer. Like right after they do regular Drag Race, like a month later they do All Stars. So that was already done. Ill? I hope not. Not Tyler. Don't want to make me sweat or holler. And you said, I promise you, water is gonna be the first. I'm tired of that damn song. And then Tyler stank behind up on there. Probably want somebody to carry her damn water. Like she couldn't carry that VMA. I've never watched any of the international versions. Is like it takes a lot for me to sit through them. The only ones I really watch, I watch España, I watch the UK. I don't watch Down Under, although I may watch it this season because Michelle Visage is hosting it. So I want to see what she brings in regards to that. But I've tried to watch the Australian one. I couldn't get into it. It was just bad. And so maybe it'll be different with her. If not, then I'm like, okay, I blame production. That production, y'all just a mess over there. And I watch Canada every now and again, but I can't stand Canada. Like them Canadian queens, y'all annoy me. And I don't like none of the judges. I was like, my damn foot got caught on my wire. Charlize Theron. Oh yeah, we could definitely see her doing it. But she already was a judge on Drag Race, I think last season. Orville Peck. Oh yeah, I forgot about him. And then I thought All Stars 10 was gonna be separated into 2 parts. Well, child, we'll find out. But I say all this to say thank you all for tuning in. I got to go to the bathroom, and I've been holding this pee for like an hour. So love you all for watching. I'll be on tomorrow. Till next time, ciao, darlings.